Okay, everyone, if we can kindly find our seats, silence our cell phones as I'm doing, I'd greatly appreciate it. We're about to get started. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 8th day of November in the year 2023. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 6:08 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Ridley will not be in the entirety of the meeting, so I will not be calling her name. Councilperson Prinzary.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano. Let's make sure our mics are on, council members. Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera. And Council President Waterman. We have 8 council members in attendance at 6:08 p.m. Can we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please? I would like to dedicate this moment of silence to the mother of our councilperson in Ward F, Sandra Gilmore. And also the niece of Laverne Webb Washington, Michelle Ford. Standing at the salute the flag. United States of America. One nation. Thank you very much. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the members of the Municipal Council, in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is a schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, November 3rd, 2023 at 5:50 p.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay, council members, on to our first reading ordinances. If you would allow me to read them into the record. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 23-111 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code, designating reserved parking space at various locations throughout the city. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 23-112 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-5, One-Way Streets, and Article 3, Parking, Standing, Stopping, amending Section 332-22, Parking Prohibited at all times to improve the safety of New York Avenue, Ravine Avenue intersection, and convert Ferry Street into a two-way street between Webster Avenue and New York Avenue. Item 3.3, City Ordinance 23-113 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, Stopping, amending Section 332-22, Parking Prohibited at all times on Ocean Avenue at Berry Gardens. Item 3.4, City Ordinance 23-114 is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed easement for the public access between Avenir LP and the City of Jersey City, the execution of a 30-foot setback easement agreement between Avenir LP and the City of Jersey City affecting Block 9301, Lot 30.01, also known as 66 Broadway, formerly known as 1072-1075 West Side Avenue. Item 3.5, City Ordinance 23-115 is an ordinance repealing Ordinance 08-128, Contract to Pay to Play Reform Ordinance in its entirety. Item 3.6, City Ordinance 23-116 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson and the State of New Jersey, providing for a special emergency appropriation in an amount of $10 million to fund contractually required severance liabilities resulting from the retirement of city employees. And item 3.7, 23-117, I believe is being withdrawn. I just want to confirm with the business administrator.
Yeah, Sean, as we discussed, the council will work with Councilwoman Prinzary and the entire council on future development of this parcel. And the city will be conducting the study, not the JCRA. So we'll withdraw that and bring it back once we have a final approval through the council.
What's the address of this property?
302 Fairmont. It's a parking lot with approximately 12, 13 public parking spaces.
So with that being said, council members, thank you, business administrator. I'll be taking a vote for introduction on items 3.1 through 3.6. Again, that's items 3.1 through 3.6. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Solomon.
So for 3.5, I'm going to abstain. And for 3.6, I'm going to vote no. And then for the rest, I'm going to vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Okay, items 3.1 through 3.4 are introduced 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. Item 3.5 is introduced 7-0-1 with Councilperson Solomon abstaining. Item 3.6 is introduced 7-1 with Councilperson Solomon voting no. Okay. On to our second reading ordinances. Our first second reading ordinance is item 4.1, City Ordinance 23-085. It's a franchise ordinance granting permission to 331 SIP LLC, its successors and assigns to make private improvements consisting of upper floor projections over the public sidewalk and a new residential building on the south side of 331 SIP Avenue, also known as Block 11902, Lot 3-4, on the official tax assessment map of the City of Jersey City. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion. Second.
Motion to close the public hearing was made by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-085, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 8-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-085 with Councilperson Ridley absent. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-085, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-085 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. Okay, council members, as discussed at the caucus, item 4.2, City Ordinance 23-097 is going to, I need a motion to carry it.
Motion to carry to November 29th council meeting.
Oh, look at that. I love that. Very good. May I have a second on that motion to carry City Ordinance 23-097 to the November 29th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting? Seconded by Councilperson Baggiano. On the motion to carry City Ordinance 23-097 to the November 29th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent to carry City Ordinance 23-097 to the November 29th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.3, City Ordinance 23-104 is an ordinance by the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City accepting the dedication of certain roadways, sidewalks, and utilities located on a portion of Regent Street between River Street and Douglas and Arthur Skinner Memorial Drive, a portion of the southerly end of River Street, and a portion of Regent Street between Liberty View Drive and River Street in Liberty Harbor North redevelopment area. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-104 was made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-104, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Sorry. Motion carries 8-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-104 with Councilperson Ridley absent. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-104, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Just quick comments on this. We had delayed it for a meeting and we wanted to confirm. So the developer has filed a performance bond with the city clerk. That would be executed if they do not transfer the road to the city in the manner in which they are supposed to. And then we have separately requested for a different street, Dudley Street, that they either file a performance bond or make the repairs. And we are working forward on that. So wanted to put those two things on the record. And with that, I vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-104 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. For our next our next second reading ordinance, item 4.4, City Ordinance 23-105. I believe at the caucus, we did have discussion for carrying this ordinance. Did I recall that correctly?
Yes, and I'd actually like to carry it to the December meeting.
To the December meeting.
Did I do that? Yep. Make the motion.
Second.
Just give me 1 second.
I believe it's December 13th.
So the motion is going to be made by Councilperson Solomon, seconded by Councilperson Saleh, to carry City Ordinance 23-105 to the December 13th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting. On the motion, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Yeah, just briefly to put on the public record, we met with some of the residents on Wayne Street today. We apologize that the word didn't get out about the change, and we took down their concerns. Happy to have multiple meetings more, but what we committed to was to take every concern to the Traffic and Engineering Division, review them one by one, consider alternatives, have a community discussion prior to the December meeting. So we'll meet with Traffic and Engineering, we'll meet back with the community, and then we'll have more updates for the council and the public in December. So I vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent to carry City Ordinance 23-105 to the December 13th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting. Okay, next, item 4.6, City Ordinance 23, item 4.5, Ordinance 23-106, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-7, prohibited turns at intersections to prohibit the eastbound left turns at 9th Street and Marin Boulevard. Members of the public and municipal council members, this was accidentally left off the agenda during the caucus, but I did duly advertise this ordinance for a second reading and public hearing at this meeting, and I do have a copy of the advertisement if anyone would like to view it. So we are in compliance with the law and we can proceed with our public hearing. So members of the public, this is a public hearing on City Ordinance 23-106. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-106 was made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-106, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-106 carries 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-106, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-106 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.6, City Ordinance 23-107, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal to prohibit turns on red at all times on Montgomery Street, Mercedes Street, and Montgomery Street and Center Street. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-107 was made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second by Councilperson Bajano. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-107, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-107. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-107, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-107 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.8, City Ordinance 23. Oh, I'm sorry. You just did 107. Yeah. 4.7, sorry. 4.7, Ordinance 23-108 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, stop intersections to designate Ravine Avenue at New York Avenue and Congress Street and at Sherman Avenue as an all-way stop-controlled intersections. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-108 was made by Council President Waterman, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-108, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-108. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-0108, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Want to thank Department of Engineering for this. This is a dangerous intersection and this is going to help stop accidents there and help save pedestrians. With that, I vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-0108 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.8, City Ordinance 23-109 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 160 fee schedule established, subsection 3, Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, amending non-residential parking permit fees. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-109 was made by Council President Waterman, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-109, Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-109. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-109, Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-109 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. And on to our last second reading ordinance, item 4.9. City Ordinance 23-110 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City establishing Chapter 91, an Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion. Oh. Okay, motion.
Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-110 by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second made by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-110, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-110 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 23-110, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
I just want to make one statement. I think that anybody appointed to this welfare advisory is presented to the board of, to the council here, because I just want to make sure every one of them is an animal lover and they're going to take care of the animals and we have no problems. I've spoken to Stacy and I trust her 100%, but I just want to make sure everybody, there's no politics played on this advisory committee. I vote aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 23-110 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. Okay, that concludes our second reading ordinances. Before we move on to our public speakers, I believe we are going to have a motion to defer to two resolutions. And the first one is item 10.8, resolution 23-804. is a resolution recognizing Azima Piakas, I may be mispronouncing the name, I'm sorry, for 25 years of service as a Jersey City public school teacher. And item 10.10, resolution 23-806, a resolution recognizing Barbara Armstrong for her steadfast commitment to advocating for seniors continuously, uncovering innovative ways to help them thrive and flourish in an ever-changing world.
Motion to defer to 10.8 and 10.10.
Motion was made by Councilperson Saleh, and did I have a second by
Hey,
Bogiano.
Fagiano? Okay.
come on, put your earplugs
Blown.
Your mic is not always on, sir.
in.
On the motion to defer to items 10.8 and 10.9, Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to defer to items 10.8 and 10.10 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. So we'll start with the first one, which is item 10.8. Is a resolution recognizing Azima Piakas for 25 years of service as a Jersey City public school teacher. Whereas Azima Piakas was born on November 8th, 1961 in Athens, Greece, and moved to the United States in 1978. Whereas Azima is a polyglot who speaks English, Russian, and Greek. And whereas Azima started working for the Jersey City Board of Education in October of 1997. And whereas Azima worked in several public schools, including PS number 1, PS 17, PS number 15. And whereas Azima taught a variety of grade levels, including pre-K, kindergarten, and third grade. And whereas Azima retired in December of 2022 after 25 years of dedicated service. Now therefore be it resolved on this 8th day of November 2023, the Jersey City Municipal Council hereby awards this citation to Azima for her unwavering dedication to the education of our youth in Ward F and the city of Jersey City. Is her family here? Or is she watching at home? Okay, she's watching at home. All right, council members, on that note, let's take a vote on resolution 23-804. Councilperson Prinzary.
Just want to say thank you for your years of service to our young people. They are our most valuable treasure. I vote aye.
I just hope she doesn't punish me for mispronouncing her name. Councilperson Bajiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Thank you so much for your 25 years of dedicated service. This community is forever blessed to have had you as their teacher. And with that, I vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Thank you for everything you did for Jersey City. So often, teachers don't realize the extraordinary impact they have on their students over the course of their lives. And I can only imagine there are hundreds to thousands of children in Jersey City who are grateful to everything you've done for them. So thank you so much, and I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Yes, I want to thank you for the 25 years of service and dedication in the educational field to residents of Ward F in Jersey City. Being a teacher is one of those professions where you have to check a lot of boxes, being a parent, being a psychiatrist, a therapist, a social worker. And you've done that at a great level for 25 years. So thank you so much for your service. I proudly vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
Congratulations on 25 years. It is not easy in a classroom. Thank you very much for your service. I vote aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Teachers are the best. Definitely vote aye.
I concur. Council President Waterman.
Congratulations, and I vote aye.
City Resolution 23-804 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent.
Sean,
Yes.
Miss Webb is here to represent the family. So we can allow her to say a few words.
Sure. Laverne, would you like to come up?
Can't speak then.
First, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys doing this. Went back home to Greece. Today is her birthday. This young lady came here, moved on Danford Avenue, never left it. Her brother owns the hardware right here on Communiport and Garfield. These are city people. Once they came here, they dedicated their life to Jersey City. She taught in 2 good schools in our community. She finished up at 15 school and she dedicated, never got married, no kids, but she dedicated to them kids night and day. I really appreciate this here honor. She deserves it. Thank you and God bless you.
Next, we're going to move to Resolution 23-806. And I'll read it into the record. It's a resolution for Barbara Armstrong, whereas Harlem, New York native Barbara Armstrong has devoted 25 years of her life to senior community service employment program, an endeavor that has been the cornerstone of her career. And whereas Barbara's journey into the world of social service agencies began at the age of 23 when she became director of the clergy volunteer program under the Board of Corrections. And whereas in 1973, when Greg Harris, an original Tuskegee Airman, retired as director, Barbara Armstrong was appointed to succeed him, a career opportunity that eventually led her to Hudson County in 1979. And whereas during this time, Barbara Armstrong pursued a higher education attending St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey, graduating magna cum laude with a Bachelor's of Science in Public Policy and Urban Studies. And whereas Barbara Armstrong's dedication and academic excellence was recognized throughout various awards, including the Outstanding Public Policy Student, the Ann Hyginus Award, and the James J. D. Anamo Senior Award, and her role as Vice President at Alpha Kappa Delta Honor Society. And whereas continuing her educational journey, Barbara pursued a master's degree in criminal justice at New Jersey City University, further increasing her knowledge in a field that would prove invaluable in her career. And whereas throughout her time at St. Peter's University, Barbara displayed a commitment to excellence and passion for making a difference in people's lives. And whereas this dedication led Barbara Armstrong to become a certified CADC, Certified Alcohol and Drug Counselor, recipient in 2001, allowing her to mentor and guide both young and adults on the potential pitfalls of drug and alcohol use. And whereas in 1998, Barbara Armstrong embarked on a journey with her senior community service employment program, beginning as a senior counselor at the Urban League of Hudson County. And whereas over the years, Barbara Armstrong transitioned through various roles within the SCSEP, ultimately reaching the position of program coordinator in 2010, and eventually the esteemed role of director of SCSEP in 2013, a culmination of her dedication and hard work and enduring commitment to the program's mission. And whereas Barbara Armstrong's career has been a testament to her passion for helping people and calling that led to the nonprofit sector where she found her true purpose. Through SCSEP, she has continuously honored her skills and practical experience in supporting seniors, underlining the resolute and commitment to enhancing their quality of life. Now, therefore, be it resolved on this 8th day of November 2023, the Jersey City Municipal Council hereby awards this citation to Barbara Armstrong for her steadfast commitment to advocating for seniors, continuously uncovering innovative ways to help them thrive and flourish in a world that is ever changing. On the resolution 23-806, Councilperson Prinzarea.
Ms. Armstrong, thank you for your dedication to our seniors. I vote aye.
Councilperson Bajano,
Vote aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Thank you, Barbara, for all of your work and your service to our amazing seniors here in Jersey City. And with that, I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Echoing my colleagues, thank you for everything you've done for our seniors, and I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Thank you, Barbara, so much for the work with the seniors, the work you do in addition to that, for getting on my nerves a lot, with just doing a lot in the community. I really appreciate the way you go above and beyond to help out others. I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Thank you for everything that you do. Please continue that work and inspire others to carry after you. I vote aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Another person that's amazing. I vote aye.
Council President Waterman.
Thank you, Barbara, for your service. I vote aye.
City Resolution 23-806 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. Congratulations, Barbara. Is Barbara here? No? Okay.
Yeah, she's not here.
At least she's watching.
Oh, she's watching.
All righty. Now for our public speaking portion of the meeting. Just a little housekeeping and we'll go over the rules. Every person has 3 minutes. The timer is there. The buzzer will buzz, and if it doesn't, I'll have to hit it to make it buzz, but it will. And we do have a lengthy speakers list. We have 62 speakers, so please be polite. And I know we're very passionate about certain subjects, but please let the speaker full the 3 minutes. And then if you want to clap after that, feel free to do so. And I will be calling the speaker number and the first name of the speaker. So please pay attention and with your agenda that you have, either it's on paper or on your cell phone. With that being said, first speaker is 5.1 Laverne.
First, I just want to thank you council people. 2 weeks ago when I was here, before the council started, I got a phone call that my niece had passed. She had went for a light surgery and never came out. So I really appreciate you guys and I thank you. That's why I wasn't here. And tonight, she runs my nonprofit. And next week I'll be giving out about 300 or 400 coats. So let's pray for me. I'll be doing that and I need support. I'm here tonight because this young man, he was working here downtown with construction and the job, he had a problem with some person on his job. He was out for 3 months. The next thing they did, they gave him a pink slip. And it's hard for our people here as it is, and he's a Jersey City resident, to get work. And to what happened to him is not right. And this is why I fight for young men, contractors. We need help in this city. With so much going on, we using young people to, I don't have to mention it. But he did talk to Councilman Ward F. aide to get help. And I solicit your prayers for this community right now. We're going through some changes that I don't even want to mention up here. But we need help with these contractors, minority contractors, so they can give a young man like this, never been in trouble, working and only kind of some things happen. I don't want to talk over this microphone at that work site. This is what we're going with. This is why we need more contractors out here like Bernie and all them that's bye.
Okay, our next public speaker, 5.2, Tina.
Hey, guys. First of all, I just wanted to say, well, I love you. The community love you. We're so sorry about all the loss that you've been going through. I just want to touch on that just to show, I know your mom proud of you because you are a leader. Like you really been holding community treasure down in our community. Like I didn't even want to come and speak today because like you really been having our back in our community and stuff like that. I come up here because our community is definitely crying for help. He had asked me to stand up for the people was outside. At first I said no to him because I felt like, no, why should I stand outside for them, for their country? And I'm having problems in my Ward F on Oak and Martin Luther King where I live at. Just the other night, somebody was just getting and almost got raped in our building. Our doors is open every day. They shooting on our blocks every day. So I felt a little kind of sad for me to stand out there for them, knowing that I still need help in my own area. I'm looking at you because I guess I can't not relate to the rest of them. I can relate to you because you understand. I call you and I beg you. I've been doing my free clothes for 23 years. It's no way that you should have been paying my rent for me. It's no way that the other dispensary on the boulevard is paying my rent. It just show you how our community is and what they are looking at. They looking over us. They not looking directly at us. We need help. Like Ms. Burns said, she's on that corner giving out food. The line is down the block. We begging for help for nonprofits. And we come here just not only for me, I come from my community of where them guys stand up on that corner that need resource. People ain't even know who to vote for. I'm explaining to them about who to vote for and why we voting for them and everything. And it's not fair that I don't get paid for that. Not looking for a pay, but I need for somebody to come and help us with our community. Help us. We should not be coming here just standing here every weekend. We should be bringing good news to y'all, telling y'all the good stuff that's going on in our community. But if not, we keep bringing depressing stuff for y'all. And I'm sorry that you have to keep listening to us on the situation of what you're going through for your own family. Thank you, guys.
Our next speaker, 5.3, Rose. Is Rose here? No? Okay, moving on. 5.4, John. John M. Not here. Next, 5.5, David. Here? No? Okay, next, 5.6, Richard. No, Richard, okay. Next, 5.7, Cheryl. Yes?
Waving flags representing the Caribbean. I am Ambassador Commissioner Cheryl D.B. Murphy, founder, CEO of Jersey City Caribbean American Carnival Parade and Festival, JCCAF. Pleasant good evening, Madam President, council members, city clerk, legal team, and staff. I am here representing the Jersey City Caribbean community at large, all 25 islands, the Caribbean. I am here addressing Ordinance 23056, JCPD Public Safety New Ordinance Parade Fees. On Saturday, July 25th, 2023, the Jersey City Police Department Public Safety canceled our Road March Street Parade at the 11th hour. I don't have enough time to map out the whole experience, but believe me, it's a book to be written. Lots of folks lost plenty of money. I am still devastated, disappointed, heartbroken of the level of disrespect that we received, that no one listened to our plea at the 11th hour. My family came here from the Caribbean in 1906 to fill a need. In 1996, Jersey City Carnival was birthed under the leadership of Mayor Brett Schindler to show diversity in the city, our beautiful city of Jersey City. founded by Alexander Hamilton, a Caribbean native from Nevis, West Indies. It is really sad that I have to stand here pleading for our nonprofit organizations for funding. Carnival is a celebration of freedom that dates back many, many years ago from our ancestors, but we can see the struggle still exists in 2023. Jersey City Carnival was been building community together since 1996. Arts, culture, education, health, business, fashion, and coloracy, especially a weekend filled with festivity, fun for the entire family to enjoy the Caribbean experience, all the sights and sounds. Council members, please, please, please rethink Ordinance 23-056. Please find another funding resources, not nonprofits. Please do it for our children. They are our future.
Thank you.
And I thank you all.
Our next speaker, 5.8, Gordon.
Good evening, Council President, Council members, ladies and gentlemen who are in person and watching online. My name is Gordon Calendar, and I'm here to address Ordinance 23-056. The Jersey City Caribbean Carnival has been a part of my life for all of its 29 years since its inception. I've had the unique privilege to experience it as a parade participant, wearing festive, vibrant, colorful costumes as a young boy, to carrying the flagship banner as I got a bit older and a wee bit taller to keep it off the ground, to being a volunteer tasked with a plethora of jobs, and finally as a committee member / director. So I can honestly say I'm one of the select few who can truly convey the importance of this community staple. The Jersey City Caribbean Carnival is an organization that bestows upon everyone in Jersey City the opportunity to be transported to one of their favorite islands and experience the sights, sounds, smells, and rhythm of the Caribbean for a day without spending an exorbitant amount of money on a ticket for an airplane or a cruise line. So that in and of itself is what we would call priceless. So therefore, why should we, the JC Carnival Committee, be inundated with so many fees that ultimately prevent us from bestowing that priceless experience upon everyone else? We just want to maintain our culture and allow it to be seen, heard, smelled, and felt for the future generations so that young boys and girls growing up can have the opportunity to participate in a parade and adorn the same festive, vibrant, colorful costumes as I did at their age. As the carnival has inspired me to reach great heights, I pray that it is still here to be an inspiration for my children's children and be a beacon of hope and a reminder to individuals, both young and old, to always celebrate freedom, because that is what carnival is all about. Thank you.
Gordon.
Our next speaker, 5.9, Richard.
My name is Rich DeBarry. I live on Wayne Street. It's about the two ways on Wayne that they want to convert it to. The purpose of this ordinance was to relieve the extensive queuing on Wayne Street during peak hours, which are probably 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's like Monday through Friday only, and it may not be necessary for every day. The people who are requesting this relief are the patrons of the garage, not the residents. People who live in that neighborhood are walking home. They're not leaving the garage and driving home. The people who requested this relief are the property management of 95 Columbus and the Pro Park, the leasee of the garage. The traffic engineering plan is based on assumptions. Drivers will use Marin or Grove Street equally, and drivers will then voluntarily make a decision which direction to go. The plan does not address how do we open up spaces on Rose Street to get onto Christopher Columbus Drive when Christopher Columbus Drive is backed up to begin with. What I have compiled is a plan that would have no change to the traffic flow on Wayne Street, will not affect parking, will be cost effective for the city of Jersey City. And the plan is very simple. It's to push the traffic through. So I'd be more than glad to give the council a plan. It doesn't cost Jersey City anything, and it will resolve the problem for the people in the garage and leave the people on Wayne Street alone. We don't want our parking spaces gone. We don't need any more changes.
Richie, could you give your expertise in the police department? I worked with you on traffic.
Thank you.
Okay.
And sir, I'll just add, Richard, we met with
Is
some
that
of
all
the,
right to give my expertise?
No.
Okay.
The councilman will answer. Go ahead.
sorry, we met with some of the other members of the group today and they have my contact information, but if you could please send that specific idea to us, so we'll include it with the exact list of everything else we incorporated today, I would appreciate that. And I will just give you my email now. I'll just run around and give it to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Richie, I think you should explain why you're so concerned about traffic. You were an expert in the police department with me on traffic. And also, did you give Mr. Solomon 150 signatures of people protesting it?
Thank you. You can go.
We have
He'll take
120
it.
signatures.
He'll take it. Thank you, Rich. Right, he'll get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, our next speaker, oh, 1 second. Make sure the camera is on. Our next speaker, 5.10, Anne Marie.
Good evening, council, and good evening, community. We were here the other night when you had the caucus. That was actually Monday afternoon. We were here because we wanted to hear your questioning of Robert Winston of the medical center. He was going to be questioned on his proposal, his hospital's proposal for the 911 behavioral response to mentally challenged or addiction challenged community members. You did question him, and we were here for that purpose. I was so encouraged when the first person who stood that afternoon to address you was Public Safety Director Shea. He came to the podium and he said three things. Two of the items were increases for ammunition and for more police officers. He then quickly exited the room, and I was so taken aback by that. I thought he would stay for the medical center so he could hear what the collaborative program, they use that word 7 times in the proposal, collaboration with the police department. When you questioned Vice President Winston about that collaboration with the police, he said, well, that's what we're proposing, but we haven't been able to speak with Director Shea or other officers to really nail that down. So I just want to make some points here to ask you to consider if you're going to go forward or if you're going to scuttle it and get a new RFP, whatever you're going to determine, I ask you to be sure to include these points. Firstly, I'll answer a question I asked 2 weeks ago. Can community members serve on the proposal review team when you have an RFP and you have responses coming in? Absolutely, yes. I did as I was advised by you. I followed up with Brittany Murray. I thank her for getting back to me. We can serve on proposal review committees. That's important. I also ask that you ensure that there's active community input into any RFP development that directly impacts our community members. I ask that collaboration between behavioral health workers and police, which is a critically essential element of any of these models. I want you to ensure that that does happen. Specific officers who are suited to this kind of work have to be used for it. And we need to engage public safety from the top, from the director of public safety throughout the whole police force.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Our next speaker, 5.11, Sarah.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm also here on number 4.423-105, the move to change Wayne Street to a two-way street. I speak for myself and others, as you have already heard from, when I say that the residents of Wayne Street don't really care for this measure. Actually, speaking for myself and a few others, we were not notified that this was even up for discussion, and it's my understanding that other residents were similarly only made aware thanks to one of our neighbors. Our concerns are pretty simple. There's young children on the street who are growing up there. We're concerned about the safety issues that might come about by introducing the prospect of more cars as a two-way street inevitably will. The 14 parking spots that would be cut are a precious resource. I'm sure I don't have to belabor how precious a resource parking is. A two-way street adds noise, and we value the little piece of quiet in an otherwise busy city that we already have. This isn't a change we want, plain and simple. And I ask that this be reconsidered. I do have your business card, so I thank you. I will be in touch, and I look forward to further community discussions regarding this prior to the December meeting, as I believed it was mentioned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, 5.12, Frank. I didn't see Frank. I think he's here, right? Nope. Next, 5.13, Brian. See him either. Next, 5.14, Ernest. Is Ernest here? Nope. 5.15, James. James is not here. 5.16, Daniela. She's not speaking? Okay. Next, 5.17, Courtney. Thank you. 5.18, Carol. Okay.
Good evening, Carol Harris. I'm here this evening asking for actually to appeal to each of you who are the elected leaders of our city. I'm asking you as effective leaders to use your wisdom, your compassion, and your understanding of the needs of the citizens of Jersey City. I'm asking you today to vote against the resolution for the mental health. And my reasoning is that the resolution as it stands is not a standard that the citizens of Jersey City deserves.
Carol.
It is important for you as leaders to listen and have your finger on the pulse of our citizens. We are asking that you disapprove this existing resolution and ask for a new RFP to be issued that will include 24/7 services, that will include training for the police and the 911 operators in collaboration,
that includes mental health professionals that are working with the police department, that includes funding that's a blend of public safety monies as well as public health monies, and that includes collaborative agreements between the provider and the police department. We cannot have substandard services and poor use of our tax dollars. So please do not approve the mental health resolution as it stands. Please request that it go back out for bid again. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Our next speaker, 5.19, Kara.
Good evening. My name is Kara Albanese. I'm here to talk about the proposal to turn Wayne Street between Grove and Marin into a two-way street. I've seen a lot of changes pop up around Wayne Street. Many have affected my quality of life, the traffic being quite notable, but I have assumed, maybe wrongly, that the effects I was feeling from the changes were for the good of the overall community. That this body has been working towards pedestrian safety, improvements to quality of life, access to services, things that are beneficial for a majority of residents. I accepted the increased traffic, honking, erratic drivers, believing that new traffic patterns were for us, that it was in service to the people who live here, vote here, pay taxes here, etc. I never imagined that any changes would be put in place for the benefit of a commercial parking garage. When I learned of this proposal, my first question was, who does this benefit? From watching the recording of the first reading of this issue, I know now that it's to benefit the parking garage and exiting from it at evening rush hour. My enduring question for this body is, why would such a huge change be made that will negatively affect many residents just for an easier commute home for people who are driving to the center of downtown Jersey City? Why would a 2-hour issue for 100 or so people who don't live here warrant such a change? This is a solution to a problem that doesn't affect residents. After watching the first reading of this issue, my next question was, can you show me where 90% of residents felt positively about this change? I've spoken to many of my neighbors, both on my stretch of Wayne and others west, as well as surrounding streets, and I only encountered one neutral response. Most people expressed negative feelings about the change and confusion as to what this would solve. The negative effects as I see them are increased traffic and all that comes with it, noise, angry drivers, increased gridlock at rush hour up and down Wayne Street, decreased pedestrian and biker safety at Wayne and Grove, and particularly at Wayne and Marin crossings. Wayne and Marin crossing already being incredibly treacherous. There's a poor sight line looking north at the corner of Wayne and Marin, which with this change would pose a serious danger for both cars and pedestrians. Loss of parking spaces, more than 3 as initially stated in the first reading. Believe me, I would love to find a solution to the evening traffic that I hear very loudly outside my apartment, the all-night honking that happens because the intersection at Grove and Columbus is such a mess, but this isn't it. It is never a good solution to open up a side street to more traffic 1 block away from a major thoroughfare and transit hub. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.20, Suzanne.
Going to be more of the same. I'm speaking to the quality of life in Jersey City, and I completely support everything that has been said about Wayne Street. I'm sure most of you remember that I was here when you were giving us a diet for Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus is where they're here honking and where I hear it all night long, and it has become horrible. It's worse and worse and worse. And I know that you told me that there'd be a follow-up assessment. I'm hopeful that you will still have that follow-up assessment and that we'll be invited to participate. We all want to give input. In the meantime, because of that traffic diet, there are still other things that could be done that we would really appreciate it. as I don't want them to suffer for the same things that we do. I have to wait 45 minutes to an hour at night when I come home to find a parking space on my street on Christopher Columbus. And I had one woman who told me, who has a business there, she said that she knows specifically that there are people who do not live on Christopher Columbus nor in the area, but they still lie on their applications for a parking permit. And so perhaps you could do some due diligence and find out who those people are and not allow them to park during the day. If at 10 o'clock at night I look out, I've already spent my hour looking. There are empty places, which means the people who are working in Manhattan are coming back and retrieving their vehicles in our neighborhood. I just support every single one of the things that they said about Wayne Street and my street. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Next speaker, 5.21, Cameron.
Hello, Council. My name is Cameron Orr. I live in Ward C. I'm with Jersey City Friends of People's World. I'm here to say two things. First, we need justice for Andrew Washington by implementing a full 24/7, 365 crisis intervention program. And we need our council to join the majority of people in the U.S. in calling for a ceasefire. Jersey City Medical Center proposal for a crisis intervention program is unacceptable. Services will only be available 2 to 10, Monday to Friday. It doesn't provide coordination with police and medical services, and it doesn't include the most basic thing, someone trained in de-escalation. No one chooses when they're about to have a health emergency. What good is the program without someone who knows how to de-escalate? As written, the program creates a situation where a person can be punished with beatings, getting tased, arrested, or killed for having an issue at the wrong time. Lack of coordination will only create more chaos on the scene when the whole purpose is to create a calm environment for the person in need of help. We need 24/7, 365 program that doesn't say what time it's okay for police to harm or kill people. I also don't understand why the city adjusted the program to suit Jersey City Medical Center. If the same vendor gives us two bad proposals, we're supposed to be able to choose a different vendor that can give us what we need. The city should not be making adjustments to proposals based on what the medical center or another vendor wants. Unfortunately, it's no surprise to me the medical center has been letting us down because it was privatized in the 80s. Maybe it's time to put it back in public hands. But back to the point, this RFP, request for proposal, is not, the process is not democratic. We need a different process that involves the community in the decision-making, not backdoor deals that prioritize the interests of the providers. I also want to say it's time for a ceasefire. The council needs to call for it. 66% of the population and mass demonstrations all over the country are demanding it. Why is only one council member speaking up on this issue? I hate to say it, but it reminds me of white people who won't speak up about racism in this country. That's not right. We need people to stand together and not act like other people's problems is other people's problems. And the issue is gonna come back to haunt the US if we don't act. If we don't put pressure on the Biden administration to change course, we could end up with Trump again in 2024. 1,400 Israelis were killed, more than 10,000 people in Gaza, more than 4,000 children, and Netanyahu's also bombing the hostages.
Thank you.
Why Israelis are also saying we need a ceasefire.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.22, Marjoka. Bateman? No. Next speaker, 5.23, Gary.
Good evening, everybody. Gary Murphy, Metropolis Towers, 270 Marin.
Just as a preface, I have to say it is not lost on me with the incredibly awful things happening around the world that I'm able to stand here tonight in a peaceful and calm environment and speak to you about, my concerns about Jersey City. That's not a freedom or a luxury that I take lightly. I do want to quickly address several issues. First of all, it's not just the residents of Wayne Street that would be negatively impacted by the change to a two-way street. For years, I've expressed to anyone who would listen that there is no safe place for pedestrians to cross Marin Boulevard between Montgomery Street and Columbus Drive. A couple of years ago, we had a safety redesign of Marin Boulevard that the planning began a couple of years ago. The first steps toward that were implemented within the past, 4 months or so, I believe. It was a pretty robust process. There was a lot of public participation and discussion and feedback. And thanks to Councilman Solomon, a couple neighbors and I had extensive dialogue with Mr. Manzella. He did take some of our concerns and suggestions into consideration and incorporate them in the redesign. Of course, you never get 100% of what you ask for, but that's just the way the world works. But this particular change to me is just like a total monkey wrench into the steps that were taken to create a safer Marin Boulevard. It was, to the best of my knowledge, it was never considered as part of that safety redesign. And I would really ask that that the pedestrian safety crossing Marin Boulevard, specifically at Wayne Street and even at Mercer Street, which is only a few feet away, be taken into consideration. We're taking, who knows, 100 or at least dozens of cars away from the corner of Grove and Wayne, where there is a stoplight, where there is a safe way to cross, and putting them on Marin, where it's not even clear from the ordinance. Will there be a stop sign? Will there be an always stop? Will there be a traffic signal? I'm not even sure. So I do hope that's all taken into consideration. And while I'm here, I can't be here tonight without also thanking or congratulating my friends from Portside Towers. Their efforts over the past 2 years have been a tremendous example of what can happen when neighbors work together toward a common goal. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.24, Ann.
I won't reiterate what everybody says.
If you could just bring the mic down to you a little bit.
Okay, I'm also talking about Wayne Street, the two-way Wayne Street. And I also want to thank Councilman Solomon for spending a lot of time with us and talking to us. And I'd be happy as when we get the record of the call, I will be sure to spread it out to everybody so they can see. But as a senior pedestrian who's lived in Jersey City for way over like a long time, for 40 years, and most of them in Wayne Street, it's been a pleasure to appreciate a pretty quiet, reasonable place to live. You cannot move in Jersey City anymore. If your apartment becomes uncomfortable or intolerable or unlivable, there is no place to live unless you have a lot of money. So the generation of two-way traffic is going to create traffic, obviously, danger for pedestrians, danger for the for automobiles as well. It's going to create congestion, noise. It doesn't seem like it's worth all of those, there are inevitabilities for solving a problem that basically exists in the afternoon for a couple of hours for 5 days a week. This change will affect us 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because it's not going to end just because they're not driving in and out of the parking garage anymore. Those streets will be used all weekend by people driving to their city who, just driving around town. So thank you again for appreciating our concerns. And I look forward to, thank you for delaying the vote. And I look forward to any other reasonable possible solution to a problem that seems like there is probably an easier way to solve it. If the parking garage can do stuff, do things, it just seems like a pretty big solution to a problem that could be much more simply handled. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.25, Jane.
Justice for Drew Washington. Starving the children, exploding their heads, burning them to death. That's okay. Exploding their little bodies in front of their friends while they play soccer. That's okay. Exploding their parents in front of their innocent eyes. That's okay. Suffocating the little girls and the little boys under rubble. Letting them die slowly, lonely. That's okay. That's okay. Because Israel needs to defend itself. After all, Netanyahu said, they are the children of darkness, while we are the children of light. After all, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, there are animals in the shape of humans. After all, their doctor said, there is an obligation to destroy the wasp's nest. This, ladies and gentlemen, is extermination. Textbook genocide, if you needed textbooks, says Craig Mokiber, a top United Nations human rights official. A graveyard for children, says Antonio Guterres, United Nations chief. This is a crime against humanity, against the purest form of humanity, children. Jersey City Council, history is in the writing. This is the great genocide of the children of Gaza and their parents. This is a program funded by the United States, by our tax dollars. If your actions won't change anything,
Wait a minute, let her
if you
talk.
think your actions won't change anything.
Hold on 1 second.
Can you wait 1 minute?
One second.
One
If you
thing
think
we are,
your actions won't change anything.
can you just wait 1 minute? We're gonna give you the time, but one
Okay.
thing we're not gonna do is you guys are not gonna interrupt whoever is talking. We're not gonna do that. Listen, everybody, everyone is gonna get a chance to speak on this podium, both sides. But we're not gonna interrupt each other. We're not gonna do that. Because if we're going to do that, then we're gonna ask the officers to clear you guys out. Everybody.
Thank you, sir.
You may continue.
Jersey City Council, Council President, Council members, if you think your actions won't change anything, this is not true. You can say stop. You can say no. This is a moral obligation. History books are in the writing. History is in the writing. Pass a resolution for ceasefire. ceasefire is the minimum. Please ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.26, Helen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm Helen Castillo. I'm here representing the Philippine American Friendship Community, Inc., who does the parade every year in Jersey City along West Side Avenue. I'm here regarding our issue last June, and I think it was the issue of other culture who are doing the parade. Last June, we got an invoice from the off-duty officers of $10,034 for a barely 1 hour of parade. $10,034 is a lot of money for nonprofit organizations like us. It's 0.8 miles of a parade. Why do we need 20 off-duty officers and 30 crossing guards? I beg the council, because according to the mayor, you were the one who passed this ordinance, that we should be paying for off-duty police officers for our parade. So we are not opposed. Believe me, we're not opposed of paying police officers, but it has to be fair. We do our parade in Lincoln Park, and we start working from 7 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock. And we are not being charged any dollar from the sheriff's office. And that's 11 hours. Is it 11 hours of working? They don't charge us because they use on-duty officers, not off-duty officers. So I don't know why the city cannot use on-duty officers on a less than 1 mile of a parade and less than an hour of parade. So if you do your math, with the $10,034, each police officer is being paid $400 per hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen.
Our next speaker, 5.27, Robin.
Good evening. Based on the lack of clarity in the answers provided by Robert Winston of Jersey City Medical Center and the misleading information by Ms. Flanagan in the caucus meeting on Monday, I am asking that you reject the proposal from Jersey City Medical Center. It needs to be voted down. Jersey City Together mental health response proposal was referenced in the caucus, and it was presented to the council that the Jersey City Medical Center had taken into account the pertinent aspects of Jersey City Together's document, which was not the case. In reality, the budget figure was replicated in the medical center proposal, but that is nearly the only aspect of those proposals that were similar. Jersey City Together's proposed program would have covered the city 160 hours a week. They're not equivalent proposals, and involved social workers and police being trained alongside each other, and recommended that police responding to these crises be individuals who demonstrated a desire to be a part of such program to ensure collaboration. It did not include inflated rent or inflated vehicle costs that were found in the Jersey City Medical Center proposal. Some concerns with the current RFP also include, but are not limited to, the fact that respondents to the RFP were not required to include memoranda of understanding or agreements with key system partners. In this case, it would be Jersey City Medical Center, the 988 program, community providers, and others. Such agreements would clarify expectations and procedures for cooperation between each party. A lack of such agreements is highly unusual. RFPs for less important programs with smaller budgets often require such agreements. In addition, there is no reference to community representation and participating in the review of the proposals or acting as an advisory function once the programs start. I urge the council to avoid further tragedies and reissue the RFP that includes these necessary components. The new RFP needs to be developed in a timely fashion, but cannot be done with such speed that crucial aspects go unaddressed and are dependent upon various agencies figuring out potential life-threatening details after they receive funding and not before. Since I have some time, I'd also like to encourage you to look at the public safety budget as an opportunity to maybe divert some funds towards mental health services in general. We are over-policed in the city. We have police that are sitting on the corner who can't leave their post when there's a crime happening in front of them. Take some of the funding that is being wasted on the south side and over-policing and please shift it towards more preventative measures.
Thank you, Robin.
Our next speaker, 5.28, Eric Anders. Eric here? No. Next, 5.29, Musab. Yep.
Good evening, council members. I'm first here to ask justice for Drew. And I'm also here to ask you to use your voice to call for a ceasefire. I want to say these struggles are related. They stem from the idea that some lives matter more than others and that there's too little that we're doing in our city. When it comes to the issue of Andrew Washington, it was his death that led to the speed by which this item is being proposed. Don't you at least owe it to the family to listen to them and get their approval for what you're suggesting? And what kind of program only operates on some times and some days? We all know that no one can predict when a mental health crisis will happen. So you're leaving the lives of the most vulnerable to chance. And the odds are not in their favor. A quick math lesson, there are 168 hours in a week. This program only covers 40. That is less than 25%. I grieve for all the innocent lives lost on October 7th. I pray for the 1,400 Israelis that lost their lives. But what about the 10,000 innocent Palestinians that have lost their lives? 4,000 of whom are children. Do their lives not matter? I cannot believe that asking for a ceasefire, asking for peace, is a controversial position. I've heard from some of you that this is too early to call for a ceasefire. How many children have to die before you think it is time to raise your voice on this matter? I know that being an elected official is an incredible responsibility, but when we vote for you, it is in the hopes that you represent the best of us, that when you speak, you give a voice to the voiceless. Many of you know that I was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, and I say this to ask you to think about your legacy. Our time on this earth is limited. We don't know how long we have. Do we want to be remembered as those that stood on the right side of history? Or will you wait as more innocents die? Will you wait as a minister in Israel suggests the use of a nuclear bomb to kill 2 million people in Gaza? The choice is yours. Live your legacy.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.30, Evelyn.
My name is Evelyn Ibarra, and I'm a first-generation Chilean Palestinian American and a long-standing resident and homeowner in Jersey City. As I stand with you here today, I see humans, but no humanity. Almost as shocking as the atrocities that have been going on since October 7th is the silence across almost the whole board from people who are supposed to represent us as the most diverse city in America. Jersey City is the most diverse city in America when it comes to clout, news coverage, and popularity to build and fill luxury overpriced high rises. But Jersey City doesn't practice what they preach when it comes to respect, dignity, and advocacy for marginalized groups of people. We are seeing the deep level of racism, colonialism, and white supremacy and privilege that still runs deep through the moral fabric of this country. As a recipient of one of the 2022 Women in Action Awards in Jersey City, I feel like it's my duty to take action and represent my entire community, not just take action when it makes headlines or makes Jersey City look positive. I feel like it's just in the last few months, we have seen this deep level of racism run through the city and marginalized citizens of your city being ignored and disrespected. We saw the example in August when Andrew Washington's family called the Crisis Intervention Center while Drew was having a mental health crisis. And instead of sending resources to help, Drew was fatally shot and killed in his own home by the JCPD. The next morning, not only did our elected officials only defend the JCPD, but offered no condolences or respect to the family. When children and citizens were killed by what some call terrorism on October 7th, there were public vigils, condolences, and city officials in attendance. There were also letters sent out to schools. Since then, there has been continued terrorism in the form of genocide, which violates every humanitarian law and is considered a war crime for the last month straight, funded by our tax dollars. Yet no condolences have been offered to the children or innocent civilians of Palestine. What are we teaching our children? That some of their lives matter more because of the color of their skin? That some deserve condolences, respect, and dignity, and some don't? Are you teaching your kids that under the Second Amendment right, that they might die at school under guns, but under the First Amendment right, they might be fired from their job when they grow up or not be accepted into the school of their choice because of their freedom of speech? What will you tell the mothers who have lost children who are not given respect? Will you say, I'm sorry, this world didn't think your children had an equal value to others because of the color of their skin? What are you telling all of the hardworking taxpayers of this city that you're supposed to represent? That there's not enough money for affordable housing to staff 911, enough money to provide 24/7 mental health crisis intervention, for food to feed the hungry, but we have enough money to bomb over 10,000 marginalized people who only deserve your silence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Asking for an immediate ceasefire.
Our next speaker, 5.31, Isaac.
It's going to be hard to follow. Council, the people here urge the council to vote down resolution 23-848 because justice for Drew. While this resolution will not bring back the person we're here standing with in solidarity, Drew Washington, who was killed by the JCPD, it does tell us about our priorities and our strategy for making Jersey City safer. This bid does not have the depth of coverage or services it aims to accomplish. We need to have a real conversation about what and who keep us safe. A prior speaker raised doubts about the collaborative elements of the program. I'm also questioning doubts about the competitive elements, so I'd like to learn more about that. We're also passing resolutions here tonight in support of labor unions in their contract campaign, and yet we can't put out a higher bid. We need to pass a good crisis intervention program, and we need to stop putting bullets in our young men. And the same goes for another struggle happening right now across the world in Palestine. If we're being honest with ourselves, we're not looking at another struggle, we're looking at a genocide. Over the past 3 weeks, Jersey City residents have poured out into the streets in Journal Square, in the pedestrian plaza, and outside this chamber in what's amounting to be a new mass movement in the United States for Palestinian lives. Let me be clear. I condemn the killing of civilians, and we mourn the civilians lost in this violence on October 7th. But the violence that happened since and that's ongoing is dire, it's serious, it's genocide, It's escalation after decades of brutal occupation in what the UN groups have called apartheid. Over 10,000 Palestinians killed, half of them children. A coalition of organizations, residents from all faiths, races, and walks of life call for a resolution that calls for a ceasefire and non-conditional humanitarian aid for all civilians in Gaza. We're calling for a resolution that endorses the Cori Bush Rashida Tlaib Resolution 786. And it is critical this council adopt a resolution that tells our congressman, as he likes to say, let's meet this moment, and provide a nod to them, Congressman Rob Menendez Jr. and Donald Payne Jr., to pull the lever and sponsor a ceasefire. This is not a symbolic resolution. This is the people letting you know this is what the people want. Free Palestine and justice for Drew. These struggles are related. We don't get to decide when some live and others die. We abolish the death penalty. And these movements are related and merging, and a working class majority in Jersey is rising up. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Kevin, 5.32.
Good evening, Madam President and City Council.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you, as always, for listening to everyone. Madam President, just prior to our rent leveling board hearing, you made a public statement here that if we were to receive an unlawful determination, we should come before you and you would investigate. The last time we were here, we praised the lawful determination that was made by the board, and we thanked the City Council for listening to our 325 speeches. I had hoped we would be done discussing the enforcement of Ordinance 260 with regard to Portside Towers, giving the unanimous determination in favor of the tenants on 10/19/2023. The Rent Leveling Board determined that neither original owner met the requirements to gain access to a state exemption or rent control. They got it right. On Monday, November 6th, we received the formal written determinations, which added some brand new language to the board's determination. This language could allow a path for the non-enforcement of rent control in our case. I hope that does not happen. Rest assured, if it does, we will not stand for it. We didn't fight this hard for the ordinance to be selectively enforced. If the net of our hundreds of speeches and our long, expensive administrative process is merely less expensive illegal rents, we will welcome the investigation Madam President offered so everyone will know what the laws require, and together we can find out why it isn't being followed. If we are forced down that path, we will dust off our signs and resume our fight for the full enforcement of the rent control laws of this city until it happens, for the sake of all renters in the city. Mayor Fulop, please see to it that the ordinance is fully enforced so we can stop this fight. If our landlord wants to fight the law in court, let it be their problem and not yours. Your spokesperson touted the board's determination as evidence the city already has a lawful process. Please ensure that process crosses the finish line. If new lease rates and rebates are not calculated in full compliance with the law, we will immediately file 2 blanket illegal rent petitions covering every unit of each building and end up back in front of the Rent Leveling Board again, calling for a lawful outcome. They got it right the first time. They really did. The city lawyers added a back door, which we implore Director Richardson not use. The written determination does include the specific direction from the ordinance, and if Director Richardson follows it, there will be no enforcement dispute from the tenants. I'll read that part of the written determination. Quote, the Bureau of the Rent Leveling is empowered to remedy violations of Chapter 260 by adjusting rentals, ordering rebates, and bringing appropriate legal charges. Here, the board's determination is that there was no valid exemption for the duration of the tenancies of both buildings, end quote. Thank you very much.
Kevin.
Our next speaker, 5.33, Jessica.
Good evening, City Council. So tonight I come to you with a straightforward request, taking up where Kevin left off. Born of this situation that touches the very core of all of our daily lives. It's been mentioned this evening by a couple of speakers. the need for fair housing, fair rent control, and its thorough enforcement. For over a year, the tenants have fought hard to have our homes recognized under rent control laws. The Rent Leveling Board did agree with us verbally, but as Kevin just said, the written decision leaves room for interpretation, and in that space, uncertainty thrives. This isn't just about principles, it's about the practicality of people being able to budget for the next month's rent without the ground shifting beneath them. The stakes here are simple. Without clear enforcement of rent control, families may not know if they can afford their next meal. Seniors might be forced to choose between medication or rent, or our neighbors could be one rent hike away from displacement. These are not hypotheticals. They are the lived experience of our community members. Even though we have a verbal agreement from the Rent Leveling Board, people are making decisions right now about whether or not they can stay because the rents haven't been adjusted yet. Jersey City is a tapestry of people who build their lives, dreams, and memories within these walls. In a city as diverse and as vibrant as ours, rent control is not merely a regulatory term. It's the guardian of diversity and the very foundation upon which the working class can sustain a life of dignity. To selectively enforce this ordinance is to chip away at the democratic principles that underpin our society. A home should be a source of stability, not anxiety. When rent control isn't enforced consistently, it's not just buildings it risks, it's the fabric of our neighborhoods. We're not pleading for privilege. We're demanding our right, the right to fair housing and the assurance that the rules which govern us are applied with equality and justice. We're asking not just for clarity, but for a commitment to provide your constituents from the, to protect your constituents from the volatility of an unregulated housing market. We are not here to ask for favors. We are here to ask for this fairness, this basic fairness that comes from applying the rules evenly. We must reject selective enforcement that undermines the very fabric of this communal life. We believe in the power of our city's laws when they are enforced justly. Here, we ask for full enforcement of the base rate calculation as it is clearly and thoroughly described in Ordinance 260, so we may have legal rents and rebates for the previous illegal rents. As President Theodore Roosevelt proclaimed, no man is above the law and no man is below it, nor do we ask any man's permission when we ask him to obey it. In the spirit of practicality and fairness, let's make the concept of rent control a living, breathing benefit for all of us. Let's stand together, not in the abstract, but in the very real world where we all live, work, and build our futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.34, Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Davies with Portside Towers. I also just want to say that when the Rent Leveling Board made their decision, it was such an incredible bright spot in such a really heavy world. Just seeing our community come together, over 350 active residents who have all put their time, energy, and resources together to make sure that this went through. But I am concerned with the way that the ordinance was written. As Kevin said, we want the ordinance to be enforced as written. And we're looking forward to Pastor Richardson enforcing legal base rates and rebates because, you know, if someone had told me a year ago that I would be spending every other Wednesday, sometimes, in front of you guys, I would have been surprised. But, you know, I think that, you know, coming together makes a difference. Everyone's small part makes a difference. We all have our signs. We're ready to dust them off and make some new ones. And we really appreciate you listening to us and understanding the need for the ordinance to be enforced as written. Thank you.
You. Our next speaker, 5.35, Lucy.
Hi, my name is Lucy, and I just really appreciate that all that you did, and that I'm glad that you understood that we were going through a rough time, and that during when rent was going high, we were just coming back here and really just trying to make you understand what was going on. Um, and now we are, and now the rent is here, and now the rent is lower. So just thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Great job, Lucy. 5.36, Judith? Not here. Thank you. 5.37, Emily?
Good evening, Madam President.
Good evening, Emily.
My name is Emily Hurley, and I live downtown at 384 Monmouth Street. Like my friends around me, I'm a Jersey City tenant who rents an apartment unit in a multiple dwelling. Once one digs through the layers of LLCs, it becomes clear that my building is owned by Peter Moko. The many press pieces that I've read have informed me that you're already quite familiar with that name. Because of my current lease situation, I am becoming more familiar with him, and my new Portside friends, Kevin and Michelle, are now on a super fast track learning about Moko and his ties within Jersey City and Greater New Jersey. Regarding my apartment unit alone, Peter Moko is associated with at least 1 Village Townhouse Estates Incorporated, 2 Village Condos 3 LLC, 3 Historic Downtown Property Management, and 4 Monmouth Street Courtyards LLC. It's a rhetorical question, but does determining who owns the building in which I reside really need to be this complicated? Must I pay as much rent as I do, only to be met with deliberate, complicated business practices and obfuscation by my landlord? I'll save the specifics for a future city council meeting of what Moko and his crew may be attempting to do at 384 Monmouth to maximize their profits. But tonight I'm here to say that tenants' rights and enforcement of the law is the only right thing to do. I've been following the Portside case, and it's clear that the Jersey City Rent Leveling Board has now tied issues such as no exemption and improper notice to the laws that govern in this municipality. How refreshing that the board members voted unanimously to stand with the Portsiders. As a tenant, I now feel that much more confident that the city will do right by all tenants. Specifically, I feel that much more confident that the city will do right by me should I need to call out any landlord practice at 384 Monmouth that flies in the face of the law. The Rent Leveling Board's final determination was the news that I needed to hear to feel like I have a place in this city. I am grateful for the awareness that these tenants around me have brought to the forefront in Jersey City. It seems like the past year has been a learning experience for everyone here. So with that, I'll conclude by saying that I'm also grateful to you, council members, and will continue to look to you as you fulfill the duties of your position when an issue is brought to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.38, Danilo.
It will be an ongoing joke between us. Good evening. No anxiety of outrageous hikes no one could ever account for anymore. No nerve-wracking, painful negotiations anymore. No real wage dictated rents anymore. This is the new reality for Portside tenants, or simply put, normalcy in affording a roof over our heads. I wasn't able to attend the last council meeting, so let me start by saying thank you to the Rent Leveling Board. I watched from a distance and can hardly express in words how I felt as I observed the ruling, and it was unanimous. What struck me the most was the following statement. The board finds that there is no valid exemption from the beginning of the occupancy of the units. Any interpretation to the contrary would render the notice provisions voluntary or mere surplusage. In other words, the ordinance would have no meaning at all if any parts of the ordinance are not fully enforced. That part will likely prove to be the most important. I share Kevin's anxiety related to updates that were made since the hearing, which are now in the written determination. There are other parts in the ordinance that equally must be fully enforced. Otherwise, it will be impossible for Director Richardson to remedy violations by adjusting rentals, ordering rebates, and bringing appropriate legal charges. For now, I would hold out hope to Director Richardson will follow the ordinance fully. As for the results of the 1019 board hearing, we won. We, the tenants, we, the people, did this against all odds. We didn't accept hollow promises. We didn't accept that our hands are tied. We didn't accept the Jersey City machine. This ruling paves the way for other buildings with greedy mega landlords to get justice. To gather information about potential other violations, we proposed a simple assessment form more than a year ago. It could be even a one-time assessment of all exempt buildings to make sure they indeed meet required conditions. We understand there is renewed interest in exploring this form, and we will follow up with the city lawyers shortly. One more thing. No statement yet from Mayor Fulop on such a landmark ruling in favor of his constituency. And this from someone who makes affordable housing one of his core campaign topics. Maybe he's waiting for Director Richardson to fully enforce our new rates and rebates. We can only hope. I also hope by the next council meeting we can again leave our signs at home. Mayor Phillip, Director Richardson, you are up at bat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.39, Sonia.
Good evening, Council. My name is Sonja Kirschner. I also would like to thank Jersey City's Rent Leveling Board for their unanimous decision and written determination in our case. The board restored some of my beliefs in this city, in bravery, in equal treatment, and to a certain extent in democracy in the US, or at least in its important component of checks and balances. Now we look to Director Richardson to remedy violations of Chapter 260 by adjusting rentals, ordering rebates, and bringing appropriate legal charges by fully enforcing Ordinance 260. This group has proven that we are all about the future, a future of legal conduct, democracy, fairness, and humanity in the city that all of us choose to call our home. Before looking into the future, I want to take the opportunity of this present moment and thank this council for allowing us to speak week after week. And also I want to thank all who stand here behind me, who are watching on their screens at Portside or elsewhere because they had to move out by now, and who have been supporting us for the last 1.5 years. We've become reliable sources of information and support for each other. We became community developers, neighbors who truly care for each other, and some of us became friends for life. Thank you. Your incredible endurance, resilience, and grit brought us where we are today. If it wasn't for you, we would still be in Asterix and Obelix, the place that sends you mad cartoon, which I quote is a maze-like multi-story office building founded on bureaucracy and staffed by clinically unhelpful people who direct all their clients to other similarly unhelpful people elsewhere in the building. If it had only been a bureaucracy, this would have been easy. You can tell, dear City Council members, that we are not done. We continue to call for full enforcement of the ordinance by the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations, which means adjusted rents and associated damages. And we will not stop until no filing, no exemption is not only a reality in our luxury buildings, which are, by the way, still infested by rats and cockroaches growing bigger and bigger each day, and which are currently undergoing heavy facade repairs, which I believe would have never happened if the city hadn't put out a new mandate, because we all have drawn attention to the fathomless wrongdoing of our landlord Equity Residential. Everybody in the city, in this state, and this country deserves this, to live healthy and safe.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.40, Joel.
Madam President, council members, we are proud members of a community, not a community just of Portside Towers, but of Jersey City. And we've been focused on our issues, but we have heard and listened and are completely aligned with our neighbors here and our friends. 24/7 healthcare is, you can't schedule a heart attack. You can't schedule a mental breakdown between the hours of 10 and 2. Back to the topic. Again, I must begin by thanking the commissioners of the Rent Leveling Board for their unanimous written determination that Portside Tower apartments have always been subject to rent control in Jersey City. The board has remanded the case to the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations to look at the damages and what the rent should be. My concern is simply that each and every aspect of Chapter 260 be followed as the office calculates the appropriate monthly rent for our apartments and determines the rebates due to all current and former residents. Chapter 260 outlines clear, easy to follow steps that must be considered to qualify for any rent increase to tenants of multiple dwellings that are subject to rent control in Jersey City. Therefore, I ask that you, members of the Jersey City Council, continue to keep your eyes on the actions of that office. That has been crucial to this point, and we hope that it continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.41, Suzanne. Not here. And next speaker, 5.42, Michelle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Today is November 8th, 2023. That means that tomorrow is a very significant day. On November 9th, 2022, Kevin and I came before you in your capacity as City Council and gave our first public speeches. Tomorrow marks the anniversary when you first heard directly from us about the issues we were having with our landlord regarding illegal rents, and that the situation was compounded by the fact that Dinah Hendon had chosen to take a law that she was very familiar with and editorialized it so that she could create a determination that was in favor of our landlord rather than in alignment with the law. And then for literally a year, without fail, at every council meeting, our group has been coming before you and telling you nothing but the truth. At the last city council meeting, we came and publicly praised the members of the Rent Leveling Board. They understood that the law is the truth and that Portsiders had it right since their very first illegal rent petition was submitted to the Landlord-Tenant Office in May 2022. I must underscore that the Rent Leveling Board members didn't just get to the truth and make their determination. They unanimously, 6-0, affirmed that the determinations from which we were appealing were wrong. Those original determinations have now been overturned and the law has prevailed. I have a personal saying that I use in every situation when it seems like the odds have been stacked against me. It's very simple. Truth is king. Nothing fake or false reigns for too long, for eventually the truth catches up and reclaims its rightful seat. Certainly last month on October 19th, the truth regarding the rent control status of both Portside buildings was recognized and it now rules the day. Also during the last year, many of you have gotten to know many of us. You know we are meticulous in our research. We are, we believe, the only Jersey City tenants who have successfully found an initial mortgage loan note. We work with a team of individuals with just the right mix of expertise to help move our cause forward. And at the same time, we are very selective in revealing what we know in both writing and the spoken word. This is important because although it seems we've crossed a finish line based on the written determination, we may not have. The reality is that it's now up to the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations to remedy violations of Chapter 260 by adjusting rentals, ordering rebates, and bringing appropriate legal charges in full compliance of the law. This requires everyone's close attention. There are sections of Chapter 260 that shine a light on the very specific actions that a landlord must take to have the right to raise their tenants' rents. Only by following the ordinance may we know what the legal rents are.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Our next speaker, 5.43, Stephen. Stephen left. Okay. Next, 5.44, D.
Okay, good evening, Madam President, council
Evening.
members, city clerk. I come before you to speak about ordinance 23056 E, and I'll explain what the E means. Last July, to our surprise, we ran into an issue with this ordinance and the crippling event that it had on the planning and execution of our cultural parade. This parade has been running for 28 years. And during that time, we had built a tangible reputation within our community and the communities that came out to support us. This ordinance, with one stroke, or maybe 9 strokes of a pen, changed that. It impacted our supporters. It impacted our community. It impacted our family, and it impacted the reputation of our organization, who has been around for 28 years, going on 29 years. I ask that you look at this ordinance to help continue the cultural value that all organizations put forth in this community. I stand here and listen to all of the things that are going on, and to see that you have organizations, well, it's the Philippines, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, the Irish. As a young kid watching the Columbus Day Parade on Hudson Boulevard, probably some of you don't even remember what that is. But as a kid, I did that. And now we're here standing before you, and I'm 6'4", so I have to be now, standing before you to ask for your support in changing this ordinance. Once again, I'm speaking for ordinance 023-56E, and the E stands for extortion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.45, Neha.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
I delivered to you a message from the Hudson County Democratic Socialists of America, Jersey City Friends of People's World, and Jewish Voice for Peace, Northern New Jersey. We grieve for the 1,400 Israeli civilians unjustly killed on October 7th, and we grieve for the 10,000 Palestinian civilians unjustly killed since then, which include over 4,000 children. We are in anguish over the prospect of even more mass killings of Palestinians, as well as mass expulsions from their lands. A Palestinian child in Gaza yesterday asked his mother, "What does it feel like to die under rubble?" This is heartbreaking. We recognize that the roots of the outbreak of violence on October 7th are in the long occupation of Palestine, the denial of their human rights, and the lack of options for over 2 million souls in Gaza, the world's largest open-air prison. We call for an end to the ongoing occupation of Palestine. Today, we are asking the Jersey City Municipal Council to adopt a resolution that endorses the Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib introduced House Resolution 786, which condemns all acts of terror and war crimes, and which recognizes the rights of Palestinians to live in freedom from oppression. The House resolution calls for an immediate ceasefire, not a pause in the bombing of Gaza, and for provisions to be made for all humanitarian aid to end the besieged territory. Over 66% of Americans, that's 2 in 3 Americans, support a ceasefire. Only once there is a ceasefire can all hostages be released, including over 10,000 Palestinian political prisoners detained in Israeli prisons, many of them children. Families of the hostages in Israel are also demanding a ceasefire and an all-for-all hostage exchange. A ceasefire is just the first step towards peace, which can only come by ending the occupation and ending what groups like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have established is apartheid. Amid the ongoing horrors taking place in the region, there have been some terrible consequences, such as the spread of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-Palestinian bigotry and violence. We condemn all forms of bigotry and violence. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-Palestinian bigotry are totally antithetical to what we stand for and are contrary to our vision of a world where Israelis and Palestinians and all people, regardless of race, faith, or background, can have justice and live together in peace. We urge the Council to act on the right side of history.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fire now.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, guys. we
Okay,
need to
guys. All right. Okay, we got
Okay,
next speaker.
go ahead.
Our next speaker, 5.46, Gina. And if we can just clear the path so the speakers can come up, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Gina Davison. I'm from Ward F. I want to first start, as always, by thanking the council for their service. I'm here on behalf of my community regarding Resolution 23-848, the resolution to award JCMC a 3-year contract to build a community crisis response program. I'm joining the voices of other folks here today, imploring you to vote this down. We absolutely need a brand new RFP for these services. What was put out by the Health and Human Services Department was not sufficient and did not cover all the requirements that we see in other programs across the country that have already given us a blueprint that we can follow. When we do consider this new RFP, if we do, I would ask that we consider at a minimum spending $2.7 million a year, which is more than double what was initially slated. I support the council in our question of why is the Public Safety Department not contributing? They have a budget of over $200 million a year, when Health and Human Services only has $8 million a year. For a point of reference, you could fit 26 of the HHS budgets into our public safety budget. One of the organizations and programs that we should be following when we look at setting this up in our city is Cahoots, which is a program in Oregon. It's been running for 30 years. They spend a little bit more than $8 per resident. And in exchange, they save $8.5 million a year in public safety expenses. This is a no-brainer, even from a financial standpoint. As part of the new RFP, if we do go that route, I'm asking you not only to look at the budget, but to look at what we're asking for. And 24/7 services are the only way that we are going to make a difference in this city for mental health. The other issues that have not been addressed by the original RFP are training. The gold standard in these services should be 500 hours of training for everyone involved. That means 911 respondents, that means police, that means anybody touching this program. And lastly, I want to make sure that we are holding accountable the applicants to have a decision tree. If we're going to remove bias from the response from these emergency responders, we need to know how those decisions are going to be made. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.47, Janie. Thank you. Next speaker, 5.48, Edward.
I want to begin my comments formally by just showing Councilman Gilmore some love. I thank God that he just walked back in the room because he was gone for like more than a few minutes. But Councilman Gilmore, we are formally presenting to you, myself and a few members of the community, a card here. We just want everybody to know on record that you and your family have experienced some of the most trying times within these last couple months. You have shown your unyielding, your passion, your sense of empathy, your sense of leadership has not failed us at all. And we just want to pray for you and uphold you in this time because that's what you need. This card is just symbolic, if you will, with sentiments, but we love you and we thank you for your leadership, for being a voice here for us, because before you, it felt like we didn't even have a voice. So anyway, I'm empowered and you're brilliant, and thank you, and God bless you and your family. Erica, if you can. So we want to comment on Resolution 1052, the RFP to award Jersey City Medical Center the $4.3 million to provide us the lack of service, if you will, for 3 years. I'll bring you back to before October 27th when Drew was murdered to late July this year when his family called Jersey City Medical Center repeatedly. They failed Drew repeatedly. They were unable to respond, understaffed. And then one time, Drew's family had to wait for 6 hours, approximately 6 hours for Jersey City Medical Crisis Intervention Center to respond. He was being held down by his family for that time, and then Drew left under his own will, but Medical Center couldn't respond. And when they did, they called and said, well, what's your address now? We'll be on the way. I don't know where we stand with Stacey Flanagan, but I tell you, we've looked at that public safety budget and it's $208 million. $208 million for what? When they can't stop a shooting from happening or they can't even stop fentanyl from coming, drug trafficking. So why are we over policed in F&A? You should definitely do more than just consider removing that money from that budget to help us with health and human services. So much with the RFP. So let's talk about how we saw Public Safety Director Shea leaving here now. We definitely want an advisory board going forward because this community is not being silent anymore. We want to be a part of everything that happens here. So it's not just the advisory board for Medical Center in this RFP, but remember the resolution for the CCRB also. Community input also. We want you to drag Director Public Shea back here. We saw him, we told him, we want to meet with you.
Thank you.
We want to meet with you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.49, Spencer. Spencer here? No. Next, 5.50, Henry. Is Henry here? No.
Clear the aisle,
Can you
please.
clear the aisles,
So people
please?
can come in. Thank you.
If you're not up to speak, just clear that aisle.
Thank you.
Next, 5.51, Jessman.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Bonifay. I'm part of PAFCOM, the Philippine American Friendship Community Incorporated. We're speaking in regards to Ordinance 23056. PAFCOM has a yearly parade and festival that celebrates the Filipino community and their rich culture. The $10,034 charge for off-duty police was given to us 2 weeks before our event. According to the ordinance, tax-exempt organizations are to pay $50 per hour, but we were charged $100 per hour. We have never received charges for the 31 years we've hosted this parade. We are not the only ones that are getting charged with these exorbitant and arbitrary fees. As a city that celebrates itself for its diversity and culture, it is very hypocritical that our community is getting charged with these fees, especially when our communities are already struggling with the rising rent and inflation in the city we belong to. It begs to question, where is this money going toward? With the recent murder of Andrew Washington III, the police did not implement mental health crisis response, but enacted violence to community members. Our communities are crying out for help to survive. We implore you to redirect funds to support our communities and not punish them. I'd also like to speak in solidarity with the Palestinian community for their own self-determination and sovereignty. We hope City Council will take a stand to end to ceasefire and an end to genocide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, 5.52, Ryan.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Heisinger. I'm a resident of Ward C, have been for about a decade now, and I'm also a licensed social worker. I'm here tonight to speak about Resolution 23-848 regarding the contract with Jersey City Medical Center. Along with the family of Andrew Jerome Washington III and the broader community, I'm calling on you to reject this current bid. It was a travesty that we didn't have a mental health crisis intervention program in place before Drew was killed by police while in crisis. It's absolutely vital that we as a city institute one as soon as possible, but we have to do it right. The existing bid is wholly inadequate, not only because of the limited hours it covers, which should be enough to vote it down, but also the many critical questions it leaves unanswered. For example, what role will and won't public safety play in this service? I hope you would agree in the wake of Drew's death, that needs to be worked out before passing this resolution. Instead, I implore you to form a committee comprised of community members and experienced mental health professionals to redesign the RFP. Task them with memorializing public safety's role, as well as how the service will interact with other partners and services like 988. Councilman Baggiano, I want to emphasize that this is a Ward C issue too. When I was getting my master's in social work, I interned at Hudson County Community College in the Mental Health Counseling and Wellness Center on Sip Avenue, just over 5-minute walk from your home. And in a crisis, I would have called the same number that Drew's family called. We need to figure this out. And the bid right now in the resolution is not good enough. This is a matter of life and death for some of our most vulnerable neighbors. Let's do this right, please, and reject the current bid and form a committee to rework the RFP, please. And while I'm here, I want to add to the chorus of voices tonight, urging you to speak out in support of the federal resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Palestine. Countless educational, health, and political institutions have accurately labeled what the state of Israel is carrying out in Gaza as genocide. And our tax dollars are funding it. With a legislative resolution being introduced for a ceasefire nationally, it's imperative that you all add upward pressure to aid this call. Please do the right thing on both of these fronts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.53, Philip. Here.
other members of the city council, to the moderator record, Gallagher. My name is Phil Carrington. I do want to support the family of Washington for the killing of Andrew. This, of course, is unfair, and it only happened to Black people. Let's be clear on the issue here. But first, what do we know? We know that Andrew was having some issues, the family called the good cops. What apparently showed up is some rogue police officers, Stephen Gigante and Felix DeJesus. They're like pit bulls. As long as you taste the blood, want to continue to taste the blood. They have already been involved in the killing before of 2 Black people. And to say that they was afraid of their life, no, it is wrong. Because see, they were in the hallway. All they had to do is retreat. Let me show you the difference. In Maine, a man killed 18 people and wounded 13. They didn't kick in his door. I guarantee if they're kicking his door, the door and they would have gone straight to hell. They sit on a loudspeaker and says, "You're surrounded. Come out with your hand up." There's a difference in treatment. You see, this is Steve rogue policy. Why am I saying this? Because it's policing, not just the police per se. It is the fire department, the building department. All these departments are engaged in improper policing. And Steve Phillips said this is proper. Let me give another example. We have a guy by Kenneth Bowles. Again, I call him for hired gun, moonlighting as a police officer. He shot 18 Black men, 2 Latinos, no whites. 63% of the people in Hudson County are white. 14 is Black, 40%. 10 is Latinos. 0 white, 18 Black, 4 had a gun, 14 had no guns, had no weapons at all. This is a rogue policy. So I'm hearing people saying the officers need to be charged. Well, yes, internal affairs should handle that. They also say that James Shea should also be removed. I agree with that. But James Shea is the director who served at the pleasure of the mayor. Lock up Steve Phillips. Yes. He should be in handcuffs. He ain't no Dapper Don, or maybe he is a kingpin. No, Steve Phillips needs to go just as fast as he. So it's Steve Phillips rogue policies that this go. Remove Steve Phillips in handcuffs and think of that. His time has come. Steve must go.
Thank you.
I'm Phil Carrington. That's my viewpoint.
Thank you,
Next.
Phil. Thank you, Phil.
Our next speaker, 5.54, Eunice.
Hello, Madam President, City Council members, and Mr. Business Administrator who pronounced my name very well, so thank you for that. I'm here today to speak on a few items. The first and foremost, Andrew Washington III and his death. It is the responsibility of the City Council to make sure that there is some sort of crisis intervention service for constituents, right? There are taxpayer funds that fund the municipal budget. That allow the municipal government to operate, and the fact that the public safety department has a $208 million budget, but Health and Human Services only has $2-point-something million is absolutely absurd. As a school board member, I recognize that it's difficult, right? Government doesn't have as much money as we really need to operate, but at the end of the day, like, money can be allocated from different departments. So I think that's something that needs to be done, and I urge the City Council members to vote down Resolution 23-848. The fact someone earlier said today, you can't schedule a mental health crisis, right? The fact that it's only available from 2 to 11 p.m. is absurd. And I think there should be professional development, for all cops, for anyone that has to respond to a crisis. In the school district, we secured a $12 million grant to start Project Resilience to provide mental health services, hire licensed social workers and school psychologists. for both staff as well as students to deal with the mental health issues as a result of COVID. There are grants available. I implore you to look into them. The next thing that I'd like to speak about is obviously the conflict that's happening in Palestine right now. As city councilors and as city councilors for a city that's very diverse, has a large Muslim population, I think you guys have to make a statement, right? You guys we're the second largest city in the state, and you have to make a statement to urge our elected officials, Senator Bob Menendez, Senator Cory Booker, Donald Payne, Jr., Bob Menendez Jr., Pascrell, to urge President Biden to ask for a ceasefire, right? All we're asking for is a ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and war crimes to be recognized on both sides. We condemn the loss of life on both sides, and we just want you guys to pass a resolution that matches the already national resolution that's been trying to get pushed through. The next thing I'd like to talk about, and I only have 23 seconds. I think it's absurd that we can only speak for 3 minutes, but that's a conversation for another day. Teachers, please don't commend the teachers for their service if, as city councilors, you control the payroll taxes and have yet to give the school district any update on how much money is in the payroll taxes. Right? Please don't do that. That makes you a hypocrite. Right? Please let us know how much money is owed. And then next, the fact that the Filipino parade has to pay for all
Thank you so much.
when it's their
Thank you.
taxes.
Let's be respectful
of everyone. The salaries.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.55, Jordy.
Good evening, council members. Two things. I'm calling on Jersey City Council to support a resolution for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The past few weeks has angered me and many people, especially Palestinians. Yet we're seeing thousands of innocent lives being decimated by this violence in which it is impacting people and their relatives. I condemn the killings of innocent civilians on both sides, and I'm worried that this could continue. While the Israeli government continues to put collective punishments, politicians are failing us on the lack of support for a ceasefire. And while I am aware that one council member might have supported on a ceasefire, there are still a huge population of Americans who are supported for a ceasefire. And yet recently the federal government has passed a resolution that would send aid to the Israeli government, to this apartheid state. This city has spent $4.23 million to the Israeli government for their bombs and weapons. And one minister from the Israeli government has even wanted to wipe the entire Gaza Strip off the map with one nuclear bomb. It explains why we need a ceasefire now, and we need to stop this bloodshed. And instead of investing in bombs, you could have spent that $4.23 million on giving 1,400 children a free or low-cost health care, more elementary school teachers, even 12 million households with solar-powered electricity. That would have been awesome. But in addition to the ceasefire, we also need one more thing. I want to say justice for Drew. I am calling for the opposition for Resolution 23-848, which explains why, with the recent death of Andrew Washington, the lack of support only to give for mental health crises on weekdays from 2 to 10 is absurd. It is very dire that we need to help these people in these mental health crises instead of just giving them a SWAT team to do police brutality instead of helping them in these extremely difficult situations. It doesn't give any help, especially if they're facing a mental health crisis. We do not want a repeat of this. We do not want a repeat of the death of Andrew Washington. We want more support for our mental health, and we need more professionals who know mental health situations very well. It is time we take this for granted, and for the sake of Andrew Washington, for everyone else, do the right thing. Be the answer and be on the right side of history. Thank you very much for the time. Free Palestine and justice for Drew.
Next speaker, 5.56, Yasmin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yasmin. I'm here today to talk about two things. First of all, I'm here in opposition of Resolution 23-848, and I'm also here to call for a resolution for a ceasefire for the city of Jersey City. A ceasefire. Okay, I'm here to explain basically why these two things are connected and that there can't be one of fighting for one thing without fighting for the other. And I can say that with one question. Where are our tax dollars going? And I will say right now, our tax dollars are not going to adequate mental health care in Jersey City. It's not going to proper education in Jersey City, and it's not going to supporting the diverse community that we have in Jersey City. Instead, our tax dollars are going to the weapons that shot Andrew Washington, and they're going to the bombs that are falling on the heads of children in Gaza. And United States police officers are trained by IDF soldiers to come back here and shoot people in our community. So both of these things are the exact same. What we see in Gaza today is just the worst case scenario of what happens in the United States every single day to underprivileged communities and to places that you guys don't provide enough tax money for, and you don't support these communities and instead over police them and over militarize them. So both of these issues are completely connected, and I can't talk about one of them without talking about the other. And if you support a ceasefire, you will show a commitment to stop militarizing the United States and stop militarizing our underprivileged communities here, instead of sending our tax money to a genocide that's happening across the world. So my tax money gets to not only support bombing children in a place that I've never been, but it also gets to support shooting people in my own community. And I will not let that happen anymore because I can't stand to watch it anymore. And that's all I have to say. Free Palestine and justice for Drew.
Our next speaker, 5.57, Jim.
Good evening, City Council,
Hi,
City Council
Jim.
President.
Hi, Jim.
First of all, my condolences to Mr. Gilmore and his family. I'm here to speak in favor of not passing Resolution 23-848 because it doesn't provide sufficient services for crisis intervention. And if you need money, you should cut it from the public safety budget. And before anything else, you should call for the resignation of the director because clearly he's incompetent and hasn't served the people of Jersey City who need his help. People have talked about the 66% of American population who want the ceasefire. This is based on an MSNBC poll that just came out recently. So this is kind of a mainstream number, but it hides a very interesting fact, which you should know since most of you are Democrats and Hudson County is a majority Democrat county. 80% of all Democrat voters all over the United States, 80% of the people who are going to vote for you want a ceasefire now. Okay? This 66 overall average number includes also 57% of independent voters and 56% of Republicans. Since you're mostly Democrats here, pay close attention. Election season is coming up. 80% of your constituents want a ceasefire. Okay? Get that message? I also wanted to talk about the foundation document. A lot of people have talked about the Balfour Declaration. November 2nd, 1917, I have a photocopy of it in front of me. I'm just going to briefly read it because it's a short document. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best efforts and best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood. Now, this is the part that everybody forgets about, even Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he references the Balfour Declaration. Here's the condition. it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. Okay, you got that? This is going back to 1917. This is the condition for the establishment of the State of Israel, that they not prejudice the rights of the existing inhabitants, which means two things. Yes, there were people there.
Thank you,
And
sir.
secondly, their rights
Thank
are
you,
being
Jim.
violated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.58, O'Neill. O'Neill. Here comes.
How y'all doing today? Came up here today, right? Where's the love at? I gave y'all my sweat and tears. 7 years. Sweat and tears down there at this job of Jersey City Incinerator to DBW. I work hard for my bike business from scratch. No one taught me how to do it. We grew up without a YouTube. As a black man, we ain't had none of that. My gift is coming from here, from my love. I gave y'all my love, the respect and honesty. But people like to lie on me, say I'm a drug dealer as a black man. I don't have any kids. When I came home from prison, I worked hard. I saved all of my checks to get me a condo and survive through all of the storms that y'all had for the people here in Jersey City. This is why I mean, where's the love at? I don't feel it. I feel these people paying behind me. Also, I'm here to tell y'all it's wrong to have 27 cops to come to my house and disrespect me and lock me up for a phone call that one of y'all employees is taking money to have his mouth closed. That's anger as a black man. I'm not gonna lose my mind. I'm strong enough to understand to come up here and just say, where's the love at? Where's that? Somebody has to justify what's going on with me. I did everything that I was supposed to do as a black man to show the rest of these younger kids that there's some soldiers out here. And my command is my high power today. I'm not gonna run from anything. I was told to leave. I got hit on an electric bike. I was the first black man here with an electric bike from scratch. I built it. He was there. He came and seen it. I'm trying to open up a bike store so I can help my people too. Where's the love at? I don't want to get in no more trouble. 2 years going back and forth to court, it has to stop. I gave y'all a lot of time for the city. I help people, I do a lot. And it takes me to come up here and ask, where's the love at for me? I'm not going crazy. I want to have a future. I did my time in prison. Done it. I'm not scared no more. I just want to have freedom. I want my job back. I deserve that. My respect, my honesty to the people here. Let me work. I'm here to add on to people, not take from people. And I don't think it's just disrespectful. Fight for my job. Let me help the people. I'm here for the people. I don't lock down nothing. I don't say no to nobody. I will give my shirt off my back to anybody. Where's the love at?
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.59, Mo.
First off, first off, Justice for Drew. Hi, everyone. My name is Mo Hamza, and I'm a Jersey City resident over at the Jersey City Heights. I'm also a proud Palestinian American. I'd like to thank the council for having me. And I'd also like to take the time to discuss the only talking point that seems to be flying out of the mouths of all pro-genocide, anti-ceasefire politicians and Western media pundits. And that talking point is that Israel has a right to defend itself. So I have a few questions based on that. Is Israel defending itself from the 5,000 plus children that were killed, some of them who are currently in the rubble as we speak? What about newborns and infants currently in incubators that are dying as we speak? How about the 50,000 pregnant women that no longer have health care? 5,500 of which are due to give birth any day now, this month, having C-sections without anesthesia. Are they defending themselves from schools, hospitals, mosques, churches, homes, villages, bakeries, grocery stores? Just today, they bombed a shipment of water coming into Gaza as aid. Are they defending themselves from water? Are they defending themselves from doctors, nurses, paramedics, ambulances, journalists, refugee camps? Are they defending themselves from 2.2 million people that have no access to food, water, fuel, electricity, or medicine? Did you know that of the 12,000 Palestinians killed, the IDF was only able to confirm 60 Hamas members? Did you know that makes it 99.5% civilian casualty rate? And that is classified as self-defense? Are they defending themselves in the West Bank when there is no Hamas presence? Are they defending themselves when Israeli settlers are being armed by their government and murdering any Palestinian at will and displacing Palestinians from their homes so that they can take it as their own? Would you call Israel defending itself when they illegally arrest and torture as many Palestinian detainees as they possibly can? But let's say Israel does have the right to defend itself, as they say, where just a few days ago, Israel bombed the largest refugee camp in Gaza because the most immoral, lying military heard there was one Hamas commander there. So my question is this: if there was a domestic terrorist shooter in St. Jude's Hospital, would you bomb the entire St. Jude's Hospital to get to that one domestic terrorist? By this defending yourself logic, wouldn't America be defending itself by bombing St. Jude's to oblivion along with the sick children along with it? I didn't think so. So I ask, why is it okay to bomb an entire hospital or refugee camp filled with the civilians because of intel of one Hamas member? Is it because we're brown? Is it because we've been systematically dehumanized over the years? But let's get technical for a second. And I have one, sorry. Lastly, ceasefire, please. Should have happened a month ago. I'm asking and begging of you, please ceasefire now. And please.
Thank you. Time is up, Mo. Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.60, Nicole. Is Nicole here? Oh, here you go.
Hi, good evening. I'm a Jersey City resident living in Ward B. I'm here to amplify the calls for a resolution for a ceasefire in Palestine and ultimately an end to the occupation. I am a queer trans Filipino. I was a teacher in Jersey City and I work at an LGBTQ nonprofit fighting the HIV epidemic. The numbers are rising, but I only represent myself tonight. Many have already shared more than enough evidence and stories of Israel's war crimes against the Palestinian people, and we are complicit. I will share that there have been videos circulating about children in a hospital holding a press conference for their lives. This is something that I would have had students do as a project. I could not finish a second of that video. And I will share my experience as an educator and a community organizer. Most of us tonight have spoken from are speaking from historically disenfranchised communities in Jersey cities. We have all brought up food, housing, safety issues. Cultural nonprofits from the Caribbean to the Philippines are speaking about their needs. So no to Ordinance 23056, no to 23848. I had relied on the mental health service to help with our queer youth, so we don't have to call police, but clearly that is not reliable. Yes for a resolution for a CCRB. And Jersey City has no business killing children, funding war, and genocide in the Middle East. You have a lot of work to do here because basic needs are not being met. Since the pandemic, our queer youth have faced increased suicidality and housing insecurity. About 1 year ago in McGinley Square, one member of our community was found dead. He was found in the house of an adult he did not know, but who offered him food and a place to stay for the night. Luca was a Black trans youth, almost 18, a ball of charisma and loved among his peers. His case has not even been fully investigated, and Luca still deserves justice today. This is just one of the many stories of violence that the queer trans youth face in Jersey City. We did not consent to using our tax dollars to kill thousands of marginalized children in Palestine. Meanwhile, our own queer youth are dying here. Our most marginalized people in Jersey City are being killed. This is violent. Currently, the IDF is bombing and poisoning the ocean and white phosphorus, and our tax dollars are showing that there's no future for our children. As a queer trans person, I have to seriously consider whether or not I want to have kids in this world, because what is going to be left of it in 50 years? The US is a violent imperialist war machine. Jersey City doesn't have to be. Queer liberation is Palestinian liberation, is Black trans liberation, is climate justice. Free Palestine, boycott McDonald's and Starbucks for supporting the IDF and any other BDS calls. Justice for Andrew Washington and justice for Luca. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.61, Elena.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Elena Little, and I'm a resident of Jersey City. I'm here tonight, first and foremost, to stand in solidarity and support the family of Andrew Jerome Washington III. Justice for Drew. Thank you for revisiting the idea of a mental health first responder program, although it is tragic that it took Drew Washington's life to make this happen. We can't overstate how important such a program is and how important it is to get it right. Currently, those of us who love someone with a mental illness are left in an impossible situation. No family should have to fear that a call for help during a mental health crisis will result in their loved one's death. No family should have to go through what Drew Washington's family has gone through. But I share the concerns of the family and other advocates that the contract put forth in Resolution 23-848 does not go far enough. This program, as laid out in the contract, would not have been enough to save Drew's life, even if it were already in place. And we are here again to demand justice for Drew. First of all, it seems to only provide for these services from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. As others have said, mental health crises do not abide by a 5-day work week. Drew Washington had a mental health crisis on a Sunday. Does this mean that he was any less deserving of medical care than someone who has a mental health crisis on a Monday? No, of course not. That's ridiculous. If this is meant to be a first responder program, then it should be available 24/7 like our other first responder programs. This also ties into the larger documented issue of residents calling 911 and their calls going unanswered for minutes. If this program is to be available through 911 dispatch, we also really need to address the response times for 911 calls in this city. I mean, we need to do this in any case, but I also want to seek clarification on another point of this program. From my reading of the contract, it seems like if someone is in danger of hurting themselves or others, then a mental health team will not be sent and a police response will be sent instead. And I'm questioning why the mental health team would not also be sent and why there isn't a distinction between concern over someone hurting themselves versus a threat to others. I would guess that many calls about mental health crises from concerned family members are stemming from some degree of concern about the individual. Drew's family has said multiple times that they were never worried about him hurting others. They were only worried about him hurting himself. So why would mental health professionals not be sent? So I am seeking additional clarification on that aspect of the contract, if my reading is correct. A mental health professional could attempt to help the individual and could advise and direct the police.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
Not on the speakers list, but signed up before this meeting started, 5.62, Shalomit. Shalomit, is he here? She here? Sorry.
Clear the aisle, please. Thank you.
Gordon? Who's the last person on the list? Sorry.
Last name is Gordon, but that's you? Okay.
Guys, we need to clear the aisle. Clear the aisle.
I'm here to call for Jersey City residents to embody the work for peace.
There was a protest here in City Hall a couple weeks ago with a Palestinian side and an Israeli side. And I have a wish for us to be able to come back right here very soon and rally together side by side on everything that we can agree on. And I know that there's a lot we won't agree on, but I also know there's a lot we will. I know. And I know it's the best thing that we can do for ourselves, us Jersey City residents, by being the change that we want to see in this world. I know that no one wants to reenact what's going on in the Middle East right here in our home, right here in our backyards, in our front yards at City Hall. We need to do things differently here, and I know that we can. Jersey City communities of all sorts and kinds can work to represent dialogue, tolerance, education. One of the first commitments needed, if we're going to do that, is to no longer monger hate. Not here. Anything said by any side, anyone, intended to spread fear and hate just needs to stop. It's the first step. It's the basic. One of the speakers outside here today and a different one right here today, as an example, mentioned an Israeli minister speaking of a nuclear bomb. But why didn't you also say that that minister was fired that same day? Because it's intolerable, even by the Israeli government. Why not add that? Why say something that instigates in our friends, our neighbors, that only brings fear, only brings hate, only brings inflammation? Why bother speak that? There's more examples like this. There really is. The use of the word genocide is very hurtful to hear, and there's no reputable body that would say that had happened.
All right,
Please,
all right.
sympathize.
Give her the respect. Give her the respect.
I also want to say this ties in directly to mental health, because a lot of people in this room, anyone involved emotionally, have had mental health breakdowns over this. Refraining from hate and speech in our home will help everyone. That's the best thing that you can do for this. I also want to talk about the calls for ceasefire. I want to start by saying that October 7th, 6 a.m., there was a ceasefire for a very long time. Israel was happy with that ceasefire, or at least not happy, maybe satisfied, willing to live with it. The Hamas wasn't and launched an attack. So when you're saying ceasefire now, are you saying go back to that ceasefire? Are you actually saying I stand with Israel?
Listen up.
I stand with Israel?
Stand by. Can you just remove her? If you could just remove her.
Guys, just listen, we listen to everyone respectfully. I respectfully ask you to allow her to speak, okay? Please.
She has 1 second left. Go ahead.
Yeah, let her.
That's what she has. Go ahead.
Ready?
You're gonna stay with the time. Go ahead, honey.
When you say ceasefire, do you mean that you stand with Israel the way it was before? I know.
Thank you.
Can I feel?
Thank you.
Tone it down, guys. Guys, tone
I
it
gotta
down.
keep it down. No.
Tone it.
Remove them.
We have one more speaker.
You should ask him.
Remove them.
You ask us.
Could you please keep it down? Now,
We have
could you
one-
remove them if they keep disrupting? That's all. We ask you to respect everyone. All right? We can disagree, but let everyone voice be heard. Okay? That's what we ask. All right. Okay. It's a disagreement. Okay. Okay.
Okay, now we can remove now.
Let's.
Okay. Remove them now. I didn't even want that. I didn't even want to go that way because I believe everybody should have a voice. So at this time, you're going to have to be removed because you're disrupting the whole meeting. Now, it shouldn't even lead to this because everybody has the freedom of speech. We could disagree, but everyone has the freedom of speech. We shouldn't disrupt it. All right? Okay? All right?
We understand that it's a very, very subject that is dear to everybody's heart here, but we have to be respectful for everybody that comes up to speak.
That's all.
We have one last speaker, and then after that, we're going to move forward with our agenda. So the last
This was the
speaker,
last one.
there was one more that signed up. I texted it to you, Council President. 5.63, Atia Ben Salome.
That's it. You are?
What's your name?
Tayyip.
Tayyip, that's it.
Okay. Could you close the door, please? Wait one moment.
Just give us 1 second. I just want to close the back door so you have
What is Nick back there doing? Is he closing the door?
your respect.
Guys, please.
Just close the door.
Thank you.
So close it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm actually going to yield my time to Mr. Andrew.
can't-
Not do that. You got to
You
speak.
have to speak.
Okay.
Okay.
So, sorry, 1 second. That's fine. So, I think what we saw in, what happened in Israel in October 7th was pretty much neglected by officials in Jersey City. A week after the attack, my son, who goes to Cordero ES 37, we received a letter from Norma Fernandez, the superintendent of schools, saying something about the ongoing conflict between the Israelis and citizens of Gaza. And that's kind of the way we felt the city addressed the most terrible terrorist attack that ever happened in modern history. No one condemned it officially, not the mayor, not officials. And to now, while we have 240 hostages in Gaza, all of a sudden, everyone talk about a ceasefire. No one from anyone that spoke here even mentioned the hostages, the babies, the elderly, the women. We have more than 30 kids and babies under 18 that are in Gaza right now. So if nothing was condemned back then, to now have an official condemnation by the city council, who said, as far as I know, nothing after October 7th, I think it's best to stay silent. And this is what I wrote Mr. Solomon and Mr. Philip was also on an email after we received that letter from Mrs. Fernandez. I wrote, what if the citizens of Jersey City behaved like the citizens of Gaza? Is it that difficult to condemn the atrocities we saw on Saturday by inhuman terrorists? Back then, I also wrote, Dr. Fernandez should be absolutely ashamed of herself for this statement. She's the wrong person to oversee the education of our children, as she's either can't tell right from wrong or too much of a coward to stand for the good against evil. Obviously, we all feel sorry for everything that's going on with civilians in Gaza, but no one here even mentioned, from tens of people that spoke, that Gaza is controlled by Hamas, who is the most ruthless terrorist organization I think we ever saw. And they are the reason that everything is happening there. And if you want to free Palestine, you should free Palestine from Hamas. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanna, hey, everyone, calm down. Hello?
Nope.
Hello?
No.
The speakers are done.
Name is not on the list.
Speakers list are done.
Speakers list is done.
Nick,
I just wanna,
wait. No, I want to calm this down right now. Nothing is going to be done or nothing going to be said. You can escort them out. You can escort them out, okay? Because we got to continue business. We do.
yeah, I wanna say something.
After escorted out. Because they are disrupted. Okay, go ahead.
I can only speak in my individual capacity as a council person and also as a Palestinian American. When October 7th happened, I condemned the attacks that Hamas did. Okay. I have always condemned atrocities against civilians no matter who they are, whatever race, color, and creed. I've been doing it since 9/11 when I was a kid, okay, because I can't initiate any conversation without me having to condemn an attack that I had not participated in that represents a fringe group. And it's just, I hear everyone that is here today. I've spoken to rabbis. We did have a resolution that we wanted to put, okay? And the language wasn't right for everybody, and the language continues to not be right for everybody. But the same way I could condemn Hamas, I condemn the bombing that is happening on innocent civilians. And a life is a life, no matter what life it is, in my opinion. Now, I am committed to working with everyone in the community. When I went to the protests, to the vigils, to the interfaith meetings, I asked for the return of the hostages. And I think that can only happen with a ceasefire. Honestly, that's what's going to bring them home. And I have seen what people have said that are in the kibbutz that have suffered tremendous losses, okay, and they want a ceasefire as well. I don't ascribe the actions of the Israeli military to the Israeli people. I don't ascribe the actions of their government to Jewish people here. We need to work together as a city to come up with the resolution that we believe can bring about the end of this violence. We need to stop the cycle of violence. We need to work together to stop this. We can't let our grandchildren have to deal with this. And I feel for everyone, and I'm trying to make sure everyone's voice is heard. And I've spoken to rabbis, I've spoken to members of the Israeli community, I've spoken to members of the Muslim community, the same community that's been pushing for the ceasefire since day one. We don't want to see any more innocent lives lost. We want a real resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, recognizing that Israeli Jewish people have a right to live in peace, and also that Palestinians have a right to live without occupation, without subjugation. And that can only be achieved if we have that honest dialogue together. And we aren't going to put the resolution on today. I'm going to work with the community. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have these critical conversations, and we're going to come up with the language. And whether the council votes it up or down, I'm committed to putting something forward that people can agree on. Thank you. That's all. I just want to clarify that there are people, as a Palestinian American, I did condemn Hamas, okay? Even though I feel like I've been condemning everything since I was a kid, and I shouldn't have to, because no other group has to do that. But I think it's important for the Jewish community to hear it from me, because I don't think that those atrocities represent the Palestinian liberation movement, okay? When we say it shouldn't be by any means necessary for anybody, whether it's the Israeli government defeating Hamas or Palestinians achieving liberation. By any means necessary, the ends justifying the means, that leads us on that will lead us on a road to hell, and we cannot do that. And that's my word. Thank you.
I just want to say, first of all, thank everyone for coming out, speaking on the behalf of whatever they feel is right. I've always taken a position of choosing humanity despite of any ethnicity, religion, or any of that. I know it's a very pressing issue and you just have to have dialogue, but you have to do it in a respectable manner, right? Because it's a disservice to everything if we just sit up here and argue back and forth at each other, right? Everybody have their position or whatever. But like I said, I've always publicly, if before elected official, if you watch my part, I've always despised of violence regardless, especially when there's women, children, and elderly involved. I've always had that position. That will always be my position. I will always choose the position of humanity. That's with regards to that. And I also want to just clarify a few things as it relates to the fees. No one understand that the jurisdiction of this council is to set the rate for said off-duty services. And myself, I voted to increase the pay for off-duty police officers, one, because I believe they deserve it, and two, because you have state troopers making more than what Jersey City police officers are making for doing the exact same job. So it just makes sense. Now, where those fees, I mean, who say that how many officers is supposed to be at a parade, what parades is supposed to pay, that is on the administration. That's out of our jurisdiction, right? We set the rate on what they should be paid. So for me, it extremely enrages me to see that nonprofits are being charged $100 when I believe the rate was supposed to be 50. Is there any way we can get clarity on that from the administration? And to the second point, with regards to that, when will these organizations who paid the $100 be refunded to the proper rate in which we voted on?
Councilman, so the off-duty program does not run through the administration. It's a private partnership between the public or the contracting authority and the police department's off-duty. It's designed that way historically because of concerns that had happened in the past. The law department had issued, last week, have issued a memo to that entity, seeing the leadership, tell them to review each document one by one, and where there's an assessment made that there was an error in cost, that a credit would be forwarded to that agency. So we can get you an update in writing prior to the next meeting for that.
So you got, excuse me if I misspoke, but I know it ain't the council. That basically was my assessment, that it wasn't us. But I'm glad that you corrected that. So you guys are working with that entity to make sure those nonprofits is refunded. So as long as they provide the proper document.
So public safety is instructed to review each invoice that was submitted and payment, match it up with the corresponding ordinance. And if a credit is due, to provide that credit to the next, well, obviously notify the entity, but it would be, the next credit would go to their next need or.
Okay.
I also think that the entity should call those nonprofits and apologize, because we did we did vote for this resolution for next year, and that was imposed this year. So we need to be clear with that and have the entity apologize and do give whatever is due to these nonprofits, just give them, whatever is due to them.
And lastly, I would like to just say, again, I'm extremely proud of the community that came out, especially with regards to the RFP. I think is extremely important for us to understand that the service is vital. No one is being dismissive of that. But to tell me that you're going to do heart surgery and you have to do it rapidly and not take into consideration what other organs you're going to damage, it's counterproductive. So in my opinion, just listening to the representative from the medical center, there's no cohesion. I wasn't even under the impression that we came up with the hours of operation, and it's just so much lack of communication, lack of dialogue. And I hear the community. I feel for the community. So I'm standing in solidarity with the community. And I'm urging my colleagues to reject the bid as well.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, it is while we're kind of paused and speaking about the agenda, on the medical center proposal, I just want to confirm, kind of if the council votes no, we can have, commitment to work extremely closely and collaboratively on refining the RFP, reissuing it, and then obviously trying to get bids back as soon as possible.
I want to just add to that as well, because one thing that I've been saying from the beginning was that I was not comfortable because none of the ends were meeting on this resolution. I asked specific questions to the representative of the medical center. I spoke to my council colleagues prior to this day when he came, and I wasn't comfortable with them. I was always going to vote no on it, but just to be clear, I wasn't going to vote no because I didn't want this entity to come here. I didn't want the resolution to pass. I just think that, like I'm always saying, if you build something on sinking sand, it is not going to work. You're just going to get sound bites from council, from politicians that, yeah, we're going to put something out there and it's not going to work. It's a disservice to families of that have members in crisis, and it is a service to the city. So, at the end of the day, I'd rather you guys be patient so that we can get this right. It's not that we're going to put this in the back burner, but it has to be right for it to work. There's a lot of things here that doesn't make sense.
Sorry, Councilman. Yes, so we received a memo from Law Department saying that we do have to, the governing body does have to make a judgment on the proposed resolution, whether they're voted up or down. And I have spoken to several council members already. Councilman Solomon had reached out twice. And if it is voted down, we will have a quick turnaround on the new RFP with input from the public and the council on what's required in that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I think, obviously, we have to, all of us, move with alacrity, and we obviously appreciate the work that was done here. But as Councilman Rivera said, obviously, I think everyone wants to get it right. And then, we'll also work with you in both the shaping of the RFP and the review committee, ensuring that there's, as professional guidance as we develop both of those things and move it forward. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, on to our petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.23? Hearing none, any questions or comments on office communications 7.1 through 7.3? Hearing none, there are no reported directors, and right on to our claims and addendums addendum number 1. So council members are going to be taking a vote on claims and addendum number 1. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Claims and addendum number 1 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. On to our resolutions. Items 10.1 and 10.2 are withdrawn. I just wanted to confirm that with our business administrator.
Yeah, Sean, council, as promised, when we're providing these financial documents, last year we mentioned that we'd have backup with each transfer. That was not the case at the caucus, so we'll remove it until further notice.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, council members, I'm going to be taking a vote on items 10.3 through 10.15. That's 10.3 through 10.15. Councilperson Prinzary.
On 10.9, I want to thank Councilman Solomon for co-sponsoring the resolution with me to make sure that as 32BJ workers go into their contract negotiations, that they get a fair and living wage and fair healthcare benefits. Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Thank you to Councilman Prinzary for 10.9 and so folks, so the kind of commercial workers, janitors, concierge folks, security at commercial buildings all across New Jersey are reopening their contracts. They worked through COVID, put their lives on the line, and they deserve a living wage and healthcare. So we're going to support them in their fight for that. So with that, I vote aye for all.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
I'll abstain on 1013, aye on the rest.
1013, and aye on the rest. And Council President Waterman. Okay, if I can just recap, items 10.3 through 10.9 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. Items, sorry, I said 10.3 to 10. Wow, I'm really losing it right now. 10.3 to 10.12 are approved. Not 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent, excuse me. 10.13 is approved 7-0-1 with Councilperson Rivera abstaining. And 10.14 and 15 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. I know. We're not going to talk about the past couple of days that I've been here from 6 a.m. to whatever. Next set of resolutions, items 10.16 through 10.27. Again, that's items 10.16 through 10.27. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Gilmore.
You said 16, Sean?
10.16 through 10.27.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Items 10.16 through 10.27 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. On to our next set of resolutions. Items 10.28 through 10.37 with the exception of 10.33, which is what has been withdrawn because it was a duplicate as discussed at the caucus, correct?
Yep, don't have to pass it twice.
So again, items 10.28 through 10.37 with the exception of 10.33, which has been withdrawn. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Items 10.28 through 10.37 with the exception of 10.33 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent.
I apologize, Council President. Can I ask a question on this one? Sorry, I apologize. I should have asked this at caucus and I just missed it completely. And it may have been covered, but I didn't just want to let this pass. At 10.45, rejecting the bids on snow removal. I just want to know, obviously understand why we're rejecting them, but are we kind of immediately going out to bid in case we need additional snow removal services? Yeah.
I'll verify if this is the first or second one, but I believe this might be the second one.
Okay.
In that case, we go right to negotiation.
Negotiation. Okay, great. Yeah. Do get up there.
I'll confirm either way.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so next, moving on to items 10.38 through 10.48. That's items 10.38 through 10.48. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Items 10.38 through 10.48 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Ridley absent. On to our last set of resolutions, which are items 10.49 through 10.61. Again, I'll be taking a vote on items 10.49 through 10.61. Councilperson Prinzary.
So on 1052, as I raised my concerns at caucus with regard to the work that's going to be done in dispatch with the telephonic criteria and survey for passing somebody who may be in distress from one person to another, I think that there needs to be more involvement with dispatch altogether. I do agree too, over the last couple of years, we've had, I will speak from my office and my office only, numerous complaints about phone calls going into the police department and 911 and people not getting either called back immediately. And we understand calls drop on cell phones, but it's something that we do need to discuss. And they are, doing a study on our dispatch altogether with IPX, and we've not seen the results of that yet. I'm concerned that this would put a greater burden on dispatch altogether, especially if there's no direct plan with how all of the training is going to be happening. I also think that there is an opportunity here for public safety to be more involved because this is multi-pronged. And if we really want it to be holistic, we have to have all agencies and partners at the table in this decision making. So with that, I'm going to vote no on 1052 and aye on the rest.
Thank you, Councilperson Baggiano.
Councilperson Baggiano, your mic has to be on. We can't hear you.
No on 1052 and aye on the rest.
Councilperson Saleh.
No on 1052. I'm going to listen to the community and NJ together and, all the feedback we've solicited, and no on 1052, aye on the rest.
Thank you. Councilperson Solomon.
On 1052, vote no. First, a huge thank you to the Jersey City Together team that's been working so hard to push this for now multiple years. There's so much sort of detail in the research that they've done that we just really need to ensure is incorporated in this bid. I do want to say that I want to, there are parts of the bid in the program that was presented by Medical Center that could truly help Jersey City, but there's also too much that is left undone and unsaid, whether it's the hours of operation, the coordination with different entities, whether that's the new state 988 system, whether it's with JCPD, when cases go between the BERT system and a potential co-responder model. All of those, how the training for 911 operators that some of my colleagues had brought up, all of those truly need to be worked out before we make a commitment of this magnitude. But we know the urgency. So I'm, gonna honor commitments, work as hard as I can, partnering with the administration, health, and my colleagues and the community to refine, get it back out and get it back to us. We know we have to move with urgency on this. And I just also want to say, I think it's been very collaborative over the last couple of months, right? There's been a lot of work that's been going on, and we're going to keep to build on that. So I'll vote no on 1052, no on 1060, and aye on all the rest.
Oh, hold on one second, Councilperson Baggiano. So it's 10.52 and 10.60 no, and aye on all the rest, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, Councilperson
I want to
Baggiano.
change my vote. No on 1058, no on 1059.
1058, 1059,
1060,
and 1060.
1060.
And then aye on all the rest.
Sir.
Okay. Councilperson Gilmore.
I vote aye on all except for 52 for the reasons I laid out earlier. I do just want to make sure we're in conversation with the BA, working through this, making sure all party concerns are addressed and that we try to get it back, as quick as possible, but allowing enough time to have a sufficient program presented.
Yeah, absolutely, Councilman. Just for clarity, we'll try to look for the December meeting, which would be the closest. I don't think 2 weeks would be acceptable, but for the December meeting to get the RFP back out on the street.
Okay.
So just to recap, Councilperson Gilmore, you're voting no on 1052 and aye on all the rest, correct? Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
No on 1052, aye on the rest. I echo my my councilmate's feedback on this as well. Very well intentioned. I thank Director Flanagan and Health and Human Services for putting this together. But this has very little public safety integration. I think that's what we're asking for as a council and what the community is asking for us as well. So I look forward to working hard on this and remain to our commitment to get this done fast.
Thank you, Councilperson Rivera.
Hell no on 1052. But listen up. I mean, I know that we want to get this on the agenda. I will continue to vote no if this is not spot on. I need you guys to understand that. I know you guys want it. I know that the community wants it, but if it's not done right, it will always fail. So you need to get it right. So if it's not on the December meeting, don't get antsy. It's just that it's not right. I on the rest.
Council President Waterman.
Brittany, let me ask you a question on 10.52. I know it was a concern about creating a board, so a board can have some say on the process, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now how long would it take us to create a board so they can have some say in this process?
Well, it would depend on what actually we're doing. If it's an advisory committee, it would have to go through the same process it normally does. If it's just coming from the council after hearing from the community, we can do that more quickly because the council is able, once you vote no and reject it, you're able to immediately, obviously state your reasons on the record and then speak to the administration. It would just be up to you with which way you would want to go about it, if it's informal or formal.
Okay. Because I'm concerned too, because New Jersey Together put a lot of time in this. They put a lot of time in this and they was already at the table. So I'm just trying to see how we can get their ideas really back at the table so we can move it along. Because I know Anne-Marie, even before the situation happened, Anne-Marie came the month before and asked us about this RFP, what was we doing as a city? So I'm just really trying to see, because now I'm hearing what, we all saying, like we want to get it right, but we need them to really get it right. So I'm trying to figure out how we can just partner with them to get this right. Because I can see based on the conversations they've been coming with to the council, they know what they're talking about. Like I listen to Robin when she comes and the things that she says. So I asked, what is her profession? What does she does? Because she may, be a strong voice in exactly how we should go about this process. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
My
Because I want
non-legal,
the community input and it seemed like her and Anne-Marie, they.
my non-legal opinion, Council President, is that we do an informal, and what we
Okay.
can have is that the council presents their ideas through the council to make sure that it's inputted into the documents. They could formalize which pieces that they wish to see in it. The council then presents it to the administration as such.
Okay.
So it'd be the same thing other than going to another meeting to formalize
Correct.
positions and appointing positions.
Petition. Okay, because you know why?
Council's allowed to ask us for any components
Right.
you want in it. It can come through their word.
They can come through their word. Okay, and now I know the reason why I'm asking is because we really want to get it done, and you need at least 3 councils to get this done. So that's why you need 3 council people to meet, and for you guys to communicate with them to make sure this get done. So I want to leave here knowing that which 3 council people is going to be committed to this.
Well, I'm definitely gonna, you can count me twice.
We want to move it, right? We want to move it. We want to move it. And so I want the public to know these are the 3 you contact with all the information to make sure that is in this RFP. Okay. All right. Because the only reason why I'm saying that, because sometimes, you email this one and then that forget and because sometimes we got a lot on our, to be perfectly honest, and I really want this to get done. That's the only reason why. I just want to pinpoint certain things. This way here, you don't have to give us all the email. We know that you spoke to at least 3 of them, and we know that they really working on it diligently to get this done. That's all. And so you got, Councilman Gilmore, even though he's going through what he's going through. You got Councilman Solomon. And, who else?
Danny.
Okay. Councilman Danny. All right? Okay, you have to work on the language. He's working on the language. So that's why, okay? I just wanted some clarity, so when we walk out of here, we know exactly what we're gonna do, instead of just coming back again saying that, okay? So with 10.52, I vote no, okay? 10.57, 58, 59, and 60, I abstain, okay? And the rest, yes for all the rest. Done.
At 10.60, you're abstaining. Hold on. So you're abstaining on 57, 58, 59, and 60, and no on 1052. Okay. Give me 1 second. So to recap, items 10.49 through 10.51 are approved 8-0, with Councilperson Ridley absent. Item 10.52 is defeated 0-8. All council members voting no. Item 10.53 through 10.56 are approved 8-0, with Councilperson Ridley absent. Item 10.57 is approved. If you could just give me a minute just to recap.
You got it.
57 is approved 6-1-1. With council member. Sorry, Councilperson Baggiano, you voted, oh, never mind. Sorry. So it's 7-0-1 on 10.57 with Council President Waterman abstaining. Item 10.58 is approved. Really losing it. 6-1-1 with Councilperson Baggiano voting no and Council President Waterman abstaining. 10.59 is approved. Same 6-1-1 with Councilperson Baggiano voting no and Councilperson President Waterman abstaining. 10.60 is approved 5-1 with Council members Baggiano and Solomon voting no and Council President Waterman abstaining. May I have a motion to adjourn at 9:39 PM?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion was made by Councilperson Saleh, second.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to adjourn at 9:39 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 9:39 PM. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Stay safe. Have a great night.